Well, happy Saturday evening, everyone, over on the West and East Coast of the Americas. If you're in Europe and you're still hanging out with us, we appreciate you because your action already took place this morning. But now we are back to talk about the change that, yes, we all need to embrace here in North America, in South America, all across the Americas, with a region that has been so dominant in the past. It has nothing except finishing first as an acceptable place heading into our championship. But first, they have got to get there. We start the second half of the ALGS Split 2 right now. I'm your host, Rain Day, and I am joined by two amazing commentators and friends, Vicky, Kitty, and Jamerson here on the evening's action. And Vicky, you know, we saw Mia today. It showed us a lot, but North America, something different in the water when it comes to the way this region approaches Apex. So feels like we're still in store to see how they're going to tackle this new patch.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you talk about roster mania and you talk about how things could shift. You talk about a mid-season patch and what that could bring on as we move on through the split too, because you also have to consider with the different map rotations, how these teams are going to be able to make those adjustments that they have left.
Jamerson, you know, looking at the teams that have performed in the past, you have to consider America's as a top echelon team. But in EMEA, the performance from Go Next, you know, had us thinking, are they a top 2, top 3, top 5 team in the world? Now it's America's time to answer. Who are we looking at today?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard, right? When you see the consistency coming out of EMEA, but here in America, there's just been so much variance. But we do have some incredibly strong teams coming out. I think there are teams that are definitely on the rise and can only get better. Shopify Rebellion is definitely one of them. We'll be talking about them a little bit later on.
Well, a lot of nice teases there for what's in store today in the broadcast. But if you missed last time we showed up to the ALGS, I don't blame you. It's been a couple of weeks. Let's catch you up with what happened in match day number 5, because that was how we were able to jump into this match day and get this theme going, which is embracing the change, guys. And really, when you look at these highlights from before and you talk about this theme, what I think shows up the most is how you're going to see a lot of the same weapons, but you may see a surge of new characters from the Maggie, from the Seer, all of these different elements. And of course, you might even see some new teammates. These guys, they're not going to be playing with each other yet again, even though on match day 5 they were. Everything has shifted, and we want to see how North America bounces back with that. I'll get Vicky's and Jamerson's thoughts on that in a second. But Hot Dog Mafia, they took the early match 1. And in match 2, Oblivion, a real nice mix-up with Fun FPS, Monsoon, and Blinkster. Remember Monsoon coming back from taking that hiatus, starting a job at a bakery. We know he loves to cook, but said maybe Apex isn't for me right now. Well, found a way to get back into it. Blinkster looking for the super clutch, jumps up, jumps down, and then jumps up again to celebrate. Big clutch there from Oblivion. And on this one, well, you know what? You can't call him Spider-Man, but he is waiting in the wings, jumping down from tall buildings, trying to save the day. And it is Panic Apex with a couple of nice PK shots. And he just waits. He watches his enemies falling down. Nice highlighted in red, Vicky.
Yeah, all through the Void too, right? The Wraith Void patch coming through. And then, of course, then we get to see Shopify coming in clutch. Another consistent team here on World's Edge. And not only did they win this game with Koifo being on the low ground with that Sheila, they did it with 17 KP. An actually insane game for Shopify Rebellion. And going on to game number 5, it was back and forth because a team who stayed on top here for game number 5 was Falcons in the specific end zone too. They were able to hold on to the high ground in a very similar fashion to what we just saw, except it was Waltzy this time at the helm of holding on to that Sheila. This is them taking the dub with 11 KP, but it was a patient play, waiting for everyone to eventually collapse right underneath them because they were on the best spot possible. Going into the last game, though, of the day here for match day 5, 14K Resonance showed up when they needed it. With 12 KP in a zone like this with little no cover, and you have to imagine with the amount of legends already banned, they were able to walk up and barrel shove that PK to victory.
You know, Jamerson, we talked a little bit about Shopify Rebellion. We'll jump into them. But yeah, Falcons, we're not going to see that preview yet in terms of Zero and Hal splitting up. That'll show up tomorrow. But some big changes in North America. Those highlights might be the last ever that we see those two on the same squad.
Yeah, it's kind of tragic, but you get to have the fun with that tomorrow, right? I believe it's you, Onset, and Gaskin, and
yeah.
You know, there's no better trio to kind of break down that initial rivalry kicking off. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
It's going to be a great time. And yeah, stay tuned. We got a doubleheader this weekend as well. Now, if you're talking about changes, I've alluded to the major changes happening in North America. These are just the orgs. So there was a large shift from teams not having orgs or having certain orgs and then changing representation or gaining representation. A good example of that is Stallions becoming Fire Stage. Remember, Stallions was Alberlelli, Crook, and Enemy. We sat down with Alberlelli at the Open. He said this was probably the best he's felt with a team in a long time. Well, cut to, they've now broken up. Alberlelli has his own squad, but another team that was in the position of not having an org was DKK LFO. What does that stand for? Drop, Noct, and Keon looking for an organization. They found one, Grow Gaming, and so now they'll be under that banner. But here is where the world shattered again, or maybe just put back together. Finally, we have our rivalry yet again of Zero and Hal, the one that really took Apex to the top between these two superstars going toe-to-toe with TSM and Dark Zero. They have decided to split ways, with Falcons officially benching Zero, allowing him to pursue IGLing another team, giving Hal the IGL over Walty and Gildersons now, who leaves ZZ to join Falcons, and Zero the IGL over Sykes, his former teammate who he won with Dark Zero, and Funk, who was playing in Europe, actually in Portugal, on EMEA's side, trying to become the first North American player to win in EMEA. Again, cut to now he's back on a North American team. All in all, that leads us to the second page with even more adjustments. Alberlelli goes to Stallions, but he was a part of Stallions, which means he takes the brand name essentially. He keeps that org, but finds two new players in Shubi and Nadi to join him. Who takes his spot though? Well, that's Cersei. And then when he joins Crook and Enemy, they change their name to Fire Stays. Vav goes from KCP to Pioneers, and obviously Balverine FPS, but says free agent to 100 Thieves, joins them as a coach. Bronzy steps down and decides to focus a little bit more on clothing. Guys, did I get that all right?
Yeah, you did great. That was a lot. That was a lot. And you got to do it again tomorrow.
What?
Surprise.
Surprise. Hey, listen, we're going to run that back. I know they got a recording of that somewhere. We're just going to play that clip back again. You know, Vicky, all that means is that there is a lot that has changed, and the coin is fully flipped mid-air in flight, and it has not landed yet. This is what we get to see, the landing of that coin this weekend and how all of these changes turn out.
We are so back. The world is healing, honestly. The world is healing. ALGS is back. Let's go. We got the rivalries back. We got some changes. And of course, we can't ignore what not only the roster changes, but going into what to expect with a different patch into Apex, how that's going to affect not only the synergy of some of these teams who have been already kind of forming up their practice and scrims, but also how that's going to affect going into the Legend bans today.
Well, speaking of legend bans, there's a new legend on the top of the docket that's been played more so than ever. And hilariously, or maybe, you know, questionably, it's not the legend that's gotten the buffs or the nerfs. It's a legend that's been there and just found the right fit due to all the magical things that happen that make Apex so special with these metas colliding. And of course, it's Gibraltar. Jamerson, we had a chance to look at him in EMEA. Very, very prevalent. I expect no less here in North America.
That's right. We got to talk about Gibraltar and the kind of effect that he had when he went when he was used in EMEA. The three teams that did pick it up, Endorse, Alliance, and Roadhouse, did phenomenally when they did. But particularly here, I want to talk about Shopify Rebellion. Right? We know the strength of the Gibraltar when it comes to being on Stormpoint, but Shopify Rebellion utilized this Gibraltar on World's Edge, and only for this map did an amazing job rotating out, I believe, from Survey Camp into this landslide zone. But the fact that they had this very turtle, tanky, defense-oriented composition meant that they were able to hold positions like Sniper Tower there on the north side of Landslide extremely well. And then they were the only Gibraltar here, so they had a lot more firepower. Luckily, though, Koifel finds himself on the low ground, and all you can see are the jumping heads of the remaining team on the other side. While they're battling all out, Koifel just holds down the low. But the interesting thing here is not only this win that they picked up with it, is that they were able to finally kind of tune in with the meta, but after that they go straight back to their old composition, really utilizing the Sparrow that has been so strong for them in a lot of the team fights, and then backing that up with the Mad Maggie pick. And that came at a great time. Like I said, game 4, they were the only Gibraltar. Game number 5, we had 9-10 Gibraltars in the field, and Koi was ready for it with the Maggie.
Ooh, I mean, look at this. You bring up a great point. Vicky Coy talked about being one of the best players in the world, always winning those 1v1s against whether it's HAL or whether it's, Alliance Effect. He's in that top 3 of the fragger you want. Moments like that help make it very obvious as to why.
Yeah, it's funny because then you see that clip of TSM, they look like whack-a-mole, right? Just jumping up and down, and then you have the Mad Maggie just point blank with the Wrecking Ball, but it's understanding what counters here and what to expect other teams running, and also you just have Shopify Rebellion, not only just crazy fraggers here, especially coming out of Koiko, but he plays into that role beautifully. That's why you see him get aggressive too, not only with the Rampart, but with the Mad Maggie too, and if you're going to be having just a big amount of Gibbies now suddenly appear in your games, aside from the fact that the PK is meta and he's got that shotgun perk, and then playing a lot more close quarters, that's going to come in clutch at times when you could have a Wrecking Ball available to you just to get that counter, just to burst that bubble literally.
And Jamerson, just to finalize and put a capstone on what you were saying, it was a very tactful decision somewhere along the team of Shopify Rebellion to anticipate the switch up to Gibraltar later on in that lobby and to say, we're going to leave that and we're just going to simply play the counter. That's a very dangerous strategy because it can go either way. You can be left without the resources that everyone else is playing with, but it seems like it's clearly painting Shopify Rebellion into a confident position where they feel very good about their ability to tackle a lobby no matter who's in it.
Yeah, I mean, importantly, again, they were very much kind of committed to playing hard edge at the beginning of the split, but they've learned that you do have to utilize a lot of the meta, right? So they kind of fell back onto Newcastle as their core once we got into match day number 5, and that fixed up a lot of the issues that they had in the first 3 games in the typical first half of a match day. And then from there, they're able to flex, right? Once a lot of these defensive legends are gone, then they are able to fully utilize the Sparrow. And sometimes they'll flex over to the Crypto, but they're just going for full aggression. In match number 5 and match number 6 in that game day, you saw them running down every single team in their way. At one point, I believe in match number 5, they were able to hunt down ZZ. They were looking for every single fight. In match number 6, they ended up with something like 12 KP in 8th place. So yeah, this is a team that understands that, you have to wait out for the right time. Eventually, you will be able to get full on aggressive, and it looks like it is a well thought out approach to how they play the game now.
Well, let's see how it's turned out for them overall in League as we take you to the tables in between half of the season. It's KCP, ZZ, SR, Falcons up on top. And of course, when you look at the very bottom, Team Inferno, big shout out to them, running a charity stream later on in this October coming month. So make sure to support that. But Oren, DGAP, 5S, Evil, all on those sides of saying, well, we need a way to get up here. Rocket Team as well, that you would say needs a way to get up there. Luckily, they do not have 4 match days played yet, so they're going to have a chance to prove it right now. A team I've definitely been keeping my eye on because the synergy has felt instant, and they've been really good in my eyes. Deed, Saucer, Vaxlon. But of course, there's Stallions, the brand new Alberlily, Shubi, Stay Naughty. How would they feel? I almost feel a little bit, sad to see Alberlily leave Crooked Enemy because they didn't get a chance to stick with each other too much after the Open. They had such a great performance, and now they're starting this new thing. But another team full of veterans in a way that, have found moments on different rosters, from Drop and Not in Optic to Keon on Furia for all these years with JMO. The ability for these guys to come and be together and click, it seems very, very easy. In fact, one of the things that when I, highlight these teams I look for is who's got the experience. And because you're getting into a moment where stakes are only raising until the ultimate stakes of the year are upon us, this is the time to team up with guys, with players who have been there before. And Furia has Keon, who has been there before. He's gotten himself a 2nd place before at a LAN. You also look at Noct, and you looked at Dropped, who in many ways, when we were standing in one of those Europe, I think England lands where it felt like it went on forever and ever, we were just in England for like a year in a row. What was so funny was that they had a chance to have turned one of these around, and then ultimately TSM was able to come back and get that win and take it away from them. But that was a team that felt like they had almost all of the pieces put together. If Keon is that final piece, leaving Madness as well, I feel like this might be a team that can go farther than many people are thinking, Vicky. So I've got my eyes on today with the experience and maybe the synergy that Grow Gaming are going to bring.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, especially when you have to make adjustments mid-season through the split, right? Because I'm looking at KCP after everything that we just saw change up here. Cersei getting another opportunity while they were still leading in first place for now in the region. I believe this team had everything really going well for them. It could still flow very well, but I still think it's very difficult to make those adjustments. But Cersei, obviously being a very young gun legend, I believe he was like the 3rd highest fragger thus far in the region. Their playstyle, I feel like, was also just missing that perfect strict IGL role for this team to really rely on. I believe, though, with Cruel Buckle and Jay still together and then bringing Mav in to see how that's going to be slotted in together to contest that of Cersei, Cruel Buckle and Jay alone already have so much synergy, and Cruel Buckle has been popping off on his own. I think they're still going to be able to do well. It's just about having to make that adjustment, because I'm pretty sure Cersei just wasn't just the fragger. I think this team all contributed to rotations and helped split comms, which is probably why this team needs that soul guidance console. Basically framing it as, hey, you know, losing a player that was a really big anchor for your team midway through the split, are they going to be able to make that adjustment now going forward?
That's the conversation we're having across so many different teams. And Mia gave us a little bit of consistency. We said embracing the change is the theme here in North America, Jamerson. But in many ways, Mia gave us the stability. And that's one of the things that I'm curious to see if North America will bring in. Will we see the same teams perform, or will these new combinations find a way to rise to the top? All of that can be found by watching by your favorite methods, whether you want to watch us here on twitch.tv/playapex or you want to take it to the next level with Face It Watch. You can get any of the perspectives that you're interested in, whether it's Grow Gaming, maybe it's KCP, maybe you want to see Shopify Rebellion, or maybe you're interested in Rock. I kind of hyped them up a little bit. Vaxlon, one of those members of Furia and Post 100 Thieves that is split and maybe found his perfect match here. Check them out. Every rotation, throw the map screen up there in multi-view, hear the comms, see the 1v1s, be in the moment with your favorite teams. And whether on mobile or you got your Chromecast hooked up to your TV, you can watch the ALGS your way. Go to faceit.com/watch. Well, it's one of those really great opportunities here, guys, because if you haven't heard, we do have a little bit of a highlight here for our socials. While, you know, we're not going to promote it now, I just want to let you know there is a giveaway happening for those following Instagram and TikTok. And you could follow us newly on those platforms, or just keep in touch up to date for all of our socials on X, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, and of course, Instagram and TikTok. Guys, it's been fantastic to start the show. I can't wait to see what change is truly embraced here by these squads. And with that, it's time to get into game one. Vicky, Jamerson, take it away.
Let's get this started here, Jamerson. We got Storm Point to open up the day here for Americas, and after the action that we just saw unfold in EMEA, I'm excited to see how maybe the legend compositions may swap things up, because, you know, Americas usually likes to play things a little differently here as we get set up here. Game number one. I cannot believe, Jamerson, that we're already here for match day 6.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely insane. And honestly, I'm really excited to see what we get in terms of legend compositions when it comes to this map. We saw, you know, kind of hesitance, I think, to pick up the Gibraltar for a lot of the teams in EMEA. In game number one, we might have had 4 teams that were rocking that Gibraltar. But again, it does come down to how you had to draft, right? So a lot of teams ultimately just got really bad positions in the draft, right? Because we are kind of like randomizing it to kind of equalize it throughout the split. So like one team that I really did want to highlight, Roadhouse, ended up getting like last pick. And so with almost everyone first pick on the draft for Storm Point, they were not able to get themselves anywhere near a Trident. But here already we are seeing a pretty big shift. We are seeing a lot more Gibraltars for the Americas region. It's going to be NIP, KCP, Thuggets, Unreal Nightmare, Shopify Rebellion, and VP, along with 100 Thieves. And it was VP that started off. Remember, match day 2, that 3-map run on Storm Point where they got first, second, and first was absolutely insane. And now they have to deal with a lobby full of it.
And a lobby full of caustics I'm looking at here too. Sheesh, it is a little stinky out here, but you know, that's kind of what the meta has shifted towards, as well as the Gibby being really prominent on Storm Point. We talk about making that flexibility work for a lot of these teams with these different legend bands, but it also has to go for what map we're starting on. Considering we're here on Storm Point and looking at where this zone is pulling, what better zone to showcase the importance of caustic and having a Newcastle to bunker down and share some free real estate.
Hey, Vicky. So we have 5 teams that are running the Gibraltar Caustic Newcastle. I call that the onion defense.
Onion defense.
The onion defense. The onion defense.
Oh my! All right,
Because it's got layers and it's stinky.
Okay, I want to say like, oh, I didn't know we were visiting Shrek Swamp out here, man. I mean, it may as well be the same thing.
I've been waiting for this, Vicky, for like 3 weeks.
You were calling this out from the very beginning, and it's so important too, right? Because then you talk about the teams that get prio on those tridents and why the bubble comes in clutch. Teams that are forced to play objective, that are forced to play on the edge, and it works out. So that way, if you go for a quicker rotate, you know that those teams are teams that have the bunker down composition. In this case, they just infiltrated a building that happens to be free here. Very lucky considering that they have white Evo shields and they were getting beamed from across the other side of the POI, but also having that caustic and that Newcastle will allow them to just restabilize.
Oh boy. VP trying to stabilize here, backing away from Rocky Esports, who did have that superior position. A nice little crossfire set for them, but they won't give chase onto this one. Rock Esports playing this one a little bit more standard. So they're not running the Gibraltar themselves, but again, it does come down to where you ended up on the draft, not having that trident. No point really to try and rock that Gibraltar, because again, it's just so much value when you have the trident itself. Again, it works as an indestructible barrier, right? While you're waiting down cooldowns, you could just go ahead and stop, drop off, throw down the mobile shield, the wall if you have to, from the Newcastle, and then just wait on the cooldowns. It takes what, another 12, 13 seconds after the dome goes down for you to pick it up again. So yeah, for Oblivion though, they were able to make their way on in dead center of the zone right now, and the macro coming out from all of our squads. Zone still closing in. Almost what, 17, 16 of our teams are inside ring number 2.
It's going to be lethal. There's just a lot of places where a lot of these teams could just share side by side as neighbors. I wonder here, whenever somebody's in Monsoon's lobby, if they can already tell if they're getting pinged by Monsoon just the way that he uses the charge rifle. But it's THUGGETS though on the inside of Jurassic to move up and clean up Team Inferno as the first squad to go down for game number 1.
Yeah, THUGGETS, again, the fact that they do have this very defensive composition is going to allow them to reset incredibly fast. Team Liquid Alienware, they were looking for the third party. Dan Matic backs away with that wall. Unfortunately for Alienware, they don't quite have the timing on this one. There it is, the defensive bombardment coming down, and they don't have an answer for it. They just got to dance around and hope they don't get cracked, but Yanya will go down a little bit low. You can see now they're trying to reposition on the other side to try and find that one isolated player, but they'll back away. So great answer from the other side for Liquid Alienware's aggression.
I was going to say before we just saw Yanya go down, they won't be able to get the res, but let's not forget the last time we saw Team Liquid was, I believe, match day 4, and they got second place, which is night and day, because you could tell this team has been actively making adjustments to the way that they've been approaching not only the legend bands, the way that the metas have worked going into these different maps too, and now going into today, this is a good opportunity for them to try to show that consistency. You can see with the way that they're going to be able to back away. Originally, it looked like they may have wanted to get that Evo Harvester. They have not been able to obtain it yet, but there's also a survey beacon, and you know that Jurassic being the middle Storm Point, very easy rotation spot for most of these teams that are going to be able to try to get ahead of a zone.
Yeah, and that's super important, right? What you brought up for Team Liquid Anywhere and their last performance, finally turning things around. The first few match days for them were almost disasters, but you know, now that we've reached the halfway point, there are glimmers of hope. We are seeing more of old Team Liquid Alien, where the team fighting, I think, was the hardest part for them to make adjustments here in this specific, meta, because it's so hard to take clean fights. It's so hard to find fights on the edges. And then, of course, if you're trying to run center of zone, if you don't have the right defensive setup, you get absolutely beamed by all the snipers here. So I think Team Liquid Alienware just needed a couple more days to really figure out this meta. Hopefully, we'll see them return to form once again here in this match.
Man, the amount of beefy boy triple compositions we are seeing is, I know we were highlighting it before, but it's like seeing the point of view all over again. It's really funny because then you have the arm shield too from the Gibby that comes in clutch when it comes to poking, which is what we are in right now in terms of the weapon comps between the 30-30s and the G7s. You get that arm shield, so you get to get away with putting in a lot more pressure. But then you talk about the big bodies, right? Essentially, you go in for some of these rotations. If you're not Alter, which are like one of the few here, or that one Crypto or Wraith that are in this lobby, or even the Watson, you feel it in the middle of these rotates. That's why having a Trident really does come in clutch, or even having a Gibby on your team, as we get to see where that circle is going to continuously shift. It's great for Team Liquid because they ended up backing away from originally trying to look at Jurassic before then having the opportunity to move up, because THUGGETS have also moved up towards that gate that leads outside of Jurassic, and so they'll be able to now get that ring console and maybe deny that away from DMG that are over to their north.
Yeah, they might just be able to hit that. I think they just hit the survey beacon as well, so they know another team is coming from that eastern edge, and they have to deal with a threat either to their back or in front of them, which is DMG. I think it's probably better to try and go after Rock Esports, but for 100 Thieves right now here on the western side, this is a relatively clear one. They do have Shopify Rebellion off to their west right now. The pings are going down. 5-star just rotated in. I believe that's who they spotted. And so for 100 Thieves, they have a lot of space to work with here, but they have to be careful not to be too far spread out. This is not a composition that is running that altar. They don't have that kind of get out of jail free reset button. And so they do have to play a lot more coordinated and understand and be able to isolate these threats instantly. Shopify Rebellion, shoot off some shots at 100 Thieves, make their presence known. Now 100 Thieves, again, utilizing that Trident, having that free cover is going to be great for them.
Denying this space from Shopify is huge, and I specifically love how 100 Thieves are playing this. Why? Because it's only 2 members of 100 Thieves up on the high ground, where they have one member still in the house, and it's playing that split position, so that way they still have this house available to them, with Gem Burden waiting in the reins here, saying, hello everyone, we are back, as now more teams are fighting on the edge of zone. Ninjas and Pyjamas, 5-star now being held out, as 5-star try to push in after losing out on the altar. A1, so with the PK shots, it just takes 2 good ones to send them down.
You just can't try and take that fight. You can't stand in front of a Gibraltar inside of his bubble in a shotgun fight like that. You saw the instant disparity in the way they approached that fight. Now NIP though, oh, Kurev ends up getting taken out, but there's going to be a fast res coming up from Vayne here to get him back on line. We'll see. NIP should be safe. THUGGETS not going to chase after this when they have too many threats behind them currently. They're still able to snake in these shots. He honestly has like the tiniest of angles to actually connect with these shots right now, but you do have, what, I believe 2 members of THUGGETS currently watching their back, and I don't know if that's going to be enough. We have almost a 3-team pileup coming out here on the Jurassic side of Liquid Alienware, Pioneers, and DMG.
Pretty sure that was like one of the members of THUGGETS, by the way, that managed to land some of those shots from a distance. Actually crazy, because he was up on the hill that leads into Jurassic. But now we get to see more of the team scramble from right outside Aceto, and they're not the only ones with Shopify now trying to get this reset here. This is what we were worried about when they were forced to rotate here with 100 Thieves holding over to that one choke. Now it's all up to Zainu, and they're getting pushed by the team that Rain Day wanted to look at grow. Zainu, can he clutch it out? We've seen him do it before, but it's just too much. Not all he has to do is go right into that bubble, and they have the safety of these altar portals to get right back into the house, which then leads us to our next point here, Jamerson. Yes, Caustic 18 pick rate, Newcastle 18 as well. So we're gonna have to see which of these legends will be the first to go out. But following up right after that, we have 10 altars in this lobby.
I think Caustic actually ekes this one out because Shopify Rebellion was one of the teams that wasn't running a Caustic. So yeah, I think it's going to be the Caustic ban coming in first. Well, I'm just going to, of course, always wait for production to let us know what that ban is going to be. But yeah, uncharacteristic rotation out here from Shopify Rebellion, getting a little bit too deep and falling into the trap of Grow Gaming. I think they just felt they saw the damage and tried to chase after it. But you have to remember, again, Caustics still take damage now, or will now take damage from enemy Caustics. And you saw that actually coming to fruition. You can't play as aggressively as you want to. And Shopify Rebellion just had to, honestly, probably pull back and played off of that respawn beacon, or even deeper into Cedo Station at that point. There were plenty of positions for them to take, but I don't know why they decided to go straight into Drow Gaming there. But yeah, we're seeing the zone pull going straight on over, centering onto Cedo Station. A lot of buildings are still in play, and we still have a lot of teams in play. 17 squads remaining here. Vicky, 51 players, full squad. Let's go ahead and listen in with Stallions right now as they try to hold things down here.
That's not too good if we have to fight it.
Yeah, this team has to move over here, in my opinion.
I just accidentally picked up a chunkier wall.
Mac, mind your barrel placement at all times too.
I literally cannot pick up this barrel. All right, fuck it.
I need God barrels, Mac, at all times.
Yeah, I'm moving them.
This team on ping might be
Team trying to walk up.
Yeah.
They're by rocks.
Heard it.
Looking rocks.
Somewhere around here.
We're just scouting. Watch kidnaps.
See you next.
Watching, I'm watching. Ready to fight. Thank you.
I'm still watching our back.
Well, they have no Qs now for zone goes.
Just remember, we never want to, like, if they int us, we want to wall on me. You know, looking into this area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Running left. I'm running to you guys now, grouping.
I'm watching the Cascades approach.
There's a team here now, okay?
Okay, are they killable?
No, not right now. Maybe later. We don't want to tunnel on any kills, though. We have a team right below us.
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
I'm gonna, Nutty, we can peek this and passively kill these guys without getting queued on. If you want to look at me.
Okay.
They're getting beat too.
They're literally in a shit corner right here.
You guys
Okay,
watch
well,
that.
this team's dead. We can kill this team right now, Mac. Shubi and I. You just watch that. No, Mac, you do it. You Kraber. Go to Shubi.
Okay,
watch this.
watch out.
Yeah. They're in a car. They're leaving in car. They're gone. They're literally gone.
Trying to shoot the wall out.
Yeah, shoot the wall.
Well, mind the team queuing up on you guys, please, at all times.
Yeah, we're fine.
We might have to kill them with a minute left.
I think we just evac late.
Dude, we have all this space here too. Yeah.
We can listen. We can evac late and play the backside of this building, like on the corner here. Like we get control of the door.
Listening to the planning of Stallions, a little scattered in the beginning to just try to split some focus over to the teams below them, in front of them, behind them. They heard the Trident move up. They're looking at this team in front of them. They said shoot down that Newcastle wall. Maybe not with the Kraber, but if you could put in some pressure, it's about sending a message. And you know, when you're playing Apex, you hear that Kraber in the distance, you have to show some respect, especially when you're a team out in the open who just use up that utility defensively for that Gibby bubble.
That's the nice thing right there about running the Gibraltar and the Newcastle. MT VP. This is what happens when you guys show how strong the Newcastle Gibraltar is. Sometimes everyone understands that. Yeah, you can go ahead and stack that duration, or try to layer them, but at some point something's gonna break, and that was great. But we'll see if they can finish them off in just a second. We did hear the game plan from Stallions. They can try and balloon a little bit late onto, I believe that's going to be DGAP's building. Back over here at Jurassic. Kind of standoff that's never ending, but it will have to now. It's coming to a head. DMG moving forward. Alienware has them to their back right now as Future Stream's getting ready with the EMP. There's the first knock on Tianya.
Oh, they get the jump originally, and they get that first knock, and now even with that Newcastle res, it's going to be hard. Hiding behind these caustic traps now with the zone closing in. This is DMG with perfect timing on taking out Team Liquid. Meanwhile, Halberlily, by the way, gets another knock with that Kraber, and Oblivion get the respawn onto Fun, but DMG had no other choice but to take out that team to move up.
Yeah, that fight just came 10 seconds way too late. Pioneers were waiting to gatekeep that the entire time. Chose to back off, not even to hover around for too long to pick up some KP. For Stallions, though, they have made their rotate on in. They didn't quite get over to the corner because VP did end up cutting them off. Alberlele looking for another knock. But this Kraber sees a sliver, of his arm, gets that tag. Now they want to try and chase after this one, but they note another team inside the building. That's DGAP looking on over. VP loses out on Lou, and now they're just hanging on by a sliver. Pioneers will be the next team knocked out here.
It's hard when THUGGETS are looking at you. Oblivion as well, and now Alberlely's got only one bullet in the Kraber, but he doesn't need it here in this PK battle. Alberlely gets PK'd himself, and with some help with his own caustic gas, though, Shubi's looking to get the reset. This showcases how clutch Newcastle is for zones like this, but they are literally getting focused by every G7 in this lobby. I hear it everywhere. They're in the walls.
Yeah, they've got the res, though. The Newcastle reset for Unreal Nightmare, though, up against 100 Thieves. Phony ends up falling. Jeffern right behind, but Huntsman might be able to play off of this res, and 100 Thieves will go down. Unreal Nightmare. We saw them take an amazing match day just a few weeks ago, looking to regain that favor for themselves. I think in the last match, they kind of lost a little momentum, but we talked about the volatility when it comes to the consistency here in the Americas, and we've been seeing time and again the teams that rise up to the highest of highs on a match day can easily fall. We saw that out of ZZ, we saw that from Unreal Nightmare, we saw that from VP as well. And so we're going to show like just how much variance there is in terms of consistency for the Americas region right now.
Really just gets that one knock onto James before swapping out the Kraber there too while the fight. Oh, wow. Okay, shout out to our observers. That was pretty sick. Love that side-by-side view that we just had of these two teams literally hugging the opposite side of one wall. Newcastle wall to Newcastle wall, while then the fireworks fly of the bombardments. They hide behind their makeshift shields, and the PKs keep singing. It's like a chorus, while Shubi continuously becomes a clutch master in getting these reses.
Yeah, that's, again, why it's so crucial to make sure that your Newcastle does not go down, but he does end up falling there. It's Din from THUGGETS that were able to find that. Again, THUGGETS were doing a great job of just zone keeping from that southern side, and they do keep a lot of that clear for themselves. Grow Gaming and Oblivion ahead of them right now. Stallions, though, still dealing with Orin. Orin doesn't want to poke out quite yet. They have to worry about the threat of CIMJ possibly coming in for a 3P. That gives Stallions just enough time to go for this full reset. They got some death boxes to try and re-up in terms of their economy. We'll see if they can get some nades for themselves to close this one all out. And Vicky, take a look where this zone is gonna be ending in the direct center of the water.
I'm disgusted with how long it takes to destroy these caustic traps. Look at the amount of caustic gas everywhere, and then the grenades for days. THUGGETS are trying to harass everybody in these corners. Monsoon in some trouble. Blinks are just trying to recover. They're getting pressured from another team from afar, but Monsoon's literally one shot. Takes 130 shot to knock him down, but whether they can capitalize on that is a completely different topic, because you have to consider the other teams within the vicinity as the counter slam off the Newcastle wall. Talk about timing. Is it going to be enough, though? As with Dale's going down, it's going to be Orange Esports just trying to stay alive, but the Newcastle res, it's going to be a lot. You have to play it slow if you're a Puka with the Peacekeeper 2 in hand, even with just the blue bolt. He didn't need to res there. He just wants to reload, but he has to be careful now as he tries to slide in. It's going to be the 1v1 with Puka having the advantage now.
He's got a knockdown shield as he backs away. Albralele will be able to hit that bat and charge forward now. You can see that he's even getting peppered. No. From the range, Stallions will end up going down. Orin Esports down to a duo here. We have CIMJ fighting off Unreal Nightmare. THUGGETS tried to make that push onto Oblivion, have to deal with Grow Gaming on the other side as well. They have a wealth of utility right now. You can see the nades going down, backing away, but defensive bombardment along with the wall for THUGGETS. They are the first team out here, and we know that a lot of the walls have gone down from almost all sides. Rails up top, Nox gas grenade, making it stink on the low ground here, but he's not behind cover. He'll fall, and his husband goes to the ground with that wall. 5 squads remaining, make that 4. Orin Esports still up as a duo.
Keep dropping like flies, now make it 3. CIMJ get eliminated. It is going to be THUGGETS, Orin, and Oblivion still alive in this zone here. And with no cover in the middle of the water, it's blessed that every one of these squads have a Newcastle. Dan Maddox sliding in and fully hailed as THUGGETS slide in to take the first dub of the day.
And THUGGETS with the onion defense comp, by the way. They did a great job. We saw early on the power of this composition. Now, they weren't able to really utilize it to the full extent that we see here on Stormpoint, right? Really utilizing the Trident for that. They didn't have to. They were so close to this zone. And so they were able to play kind of edge on that southern side, keeping a lot of teams corralled into Jurassic Park and keeping the action there and stopping anyone really from backfilling behind them. So a lot of the threats were neutralized early on, and then we got to see having that layered defense, having the Newcastle, having the Gibraltar really helped out in being able to close that one out. So it's no surprise that we saw multiple Gibraltar compositions actually make it into the top 5, and really that's what you want out of this composition here on Stormpoint. You're not necessarily looking for the wins, but you know that you should reliably be able to get top 10s to top 5s with this comp.
Yeah, if anything, I was looking at that final zone, Jamerson, and in my mind, I was like, man, you do not want to be a team with the zone pulling towards the water like this and not have a Newcastle or Gibby on your team. That's why you get to see this composition more usually when we open up with Stormpoint, which I believe the last time we've had this was actually match day 1. So showcasing even with the changes and with Caustic now being brought in with that buff, it's crazy. Multiple buffs as we take a look at the match results there, because it was THUGGETS that take the dub. They land over by Echo HQ, I believe, so they made over to that final zone rather quickly, but held that backside, as you mentioned, Jamerson. They get the dub with 9 KP, and Orange Esports right behind them with 8. Oblivion. All of our top 3 teams right here were actually able to walk away with so much KP.
Yeah, and remember, importantly, that THUGGETS did take an early fight, right? But the power of the Gibraltar, that defensive bombardment to stop the 3P from Team Liquid Alienware, who were ready to pounce upon them, was a huge contributing factor for that. That alone, that play alone, kept T-Law contained inside Jurassic Park. That's why we had that 3-team pileup. I can't quite remember who was there. Pioneers were involved in that pileup on the south side, and so THUGGETS, with that one play, with that Gibraltar, really did kind of shape the outcome of this game.
It's huge to be able to play for positioning and continuously pressure out a lot of teams that would otherwise rotate from your direction here. Big first game as well for THUGGETS. We got some more Stormpoint action coming to you on the other side of this break.
Very reinforced position now that ALGS has thanks to their legend composition, but as I say that, they get an entry knock.
Yes, Gapwang with the RE45. We talked about this gun before. It's obviously a lot about a comfort pick, but the shots are coming in clutch. And 5 Fears are going to take game number 1, you think, here. And they do.
Swap after shield swap, and he is not needing to heal up just yet, but he's got to be careful as teams are around him. Shield swap number 17 trying to come through, but no, he can't find another one.
He stays alive
gonna
here.
heal up. Oh my goodness, 5 Fears get into a fight. They don't know the solo score. He's 30, and Gen G can't win it out. 5 Fears taken. Down to a solo at the moment. Gen G finally move in, but Asia will go down. So Gen G now are a duo. Meraki, a solo, and Dreamfire also at the moment looking to try and maybe clutch out just the placement points. As Gen G, they have got a great chance to win this game in a 2v1. They clean things up. As well go down. It's down to a 3v3. Core Gaming, their final opponent.
And it is 3v3 situation. 5 Fears looking good. Core Gaming as well, just quietly 11 kills so far. But they're going up against a team that has made so much noise in the first 4 games. And they will get their 3rd win here. A hand though of Jesco, so that is a huge clutch as well here for Seoul as we come down to our final stages. And I don't think Small W have a Gibby on hand, so this Gibby ult may go nuclear right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see the boys go down to the ring as well. It's so low. Timmy Time can't do it, and Seoul are the champions. That is all that is left for P-Dog. This is the only play available. He's got the Kraber in hand. Shot goes wide. Kikoi now holding the high ground. Gonna try and pressure their opponents. They know that they have the advantage here. As P-Dog with the Q on the Wraith is trying to play around the Catalyst wall. Has the positioning. 1v3. Can't do it. And Kikoi will clean up.
All right, THUGGETS take the win, and you know, it's a heck of a start for a team that definitely could use those points and is going to put them to good use, hopefully, for the rest of this lobby. Rain Day back here joined with Vicky Kitty for the cast, giving Jamerson a break, and that also means that we give you a chance to update on the important stuff happening across the season, across the league. This moment right here is your last chance to jump into the Challenger circuit. If you're interested in it and you think you can do what you see some of these players doing, or you want to get there, you want to have the chance, maybe you dominate and ranked with your friends and you say, why don't we just see how good we are? There's absolutely nothing that you would lose by jumping in and signing up. There's so much to gain. You might find out you're better than you thought you were. You might just get a great experience and know exactly where you sit in comparison to the other players who are jumping in trying to make it into pro. It's all available up until October 1st. The first 2 are done already, but October 1st is your last second to sign up for that. So go ahead. And Vicky, I know, like I said before in EMEA, you'd jump in there if you could. You would. And we're seeing she's sharing some really strong screenshots of her gameplay, I gotta say.
You know, it doesn't end. It doesn't end in LAN Rain Day. It has to continue even during Pro League. You already know how it is.
Yeah.
As we get to also look at the final circle, what went down in that game right now. Because if you know you're at home, you think you could take on these pros, well, take some notes because look at the way THUGGETS played. A pretty hard circle, honestly. I just want to highlight that a circle like this requires a lot of acknowledgement of ult economy, what your abilities are looking like, which, by the way, goes hand in hand with the amps that have been introduced within the season. And this was a lot of a chaotic final zone. Because let's say you don't have a Newcastle, let's say you don't have a Nox grenade for this final zone, it's going to be really difficult to try to dismantle a lot of these teams who may have already used up a Newcastle wall that could have eaten up that Nox grenade, or if you have a Gibby Dome instead for some safety.
And you don't really know what's going to happen, so it's hard to plan on it, but this is a perfect catalyst zone right here. Lots of open space, and that Dark Veil would just completely force every other team to fight each other, and you can just kind of wait it out. Unfortunately, really not in the meta right now, and while Caustics gave you a lot to work with in terms of the gas, those are actually one of the tougher spots for that Caustic Nox gas to actually be as effective in those open spaces where there's a little bit of room to play. But this is where we start to see the situation shift. Caustic is banned, Vicky. Means they're going to have to go to a new lineup here. And on Storm Point, we saw Caustic. We saw, I believe it was Alter. And we got close to Newcastle getting banned early in these first ones. It seems like we could get close to a Newcastle ban yet again as we jump back on board with THUGGETS. They're playing Newcastle. You look across the board here, a lot of Alter, a lot of Newcastle. It's going to be between one of those 2 legends most likely, with a close third in Rampart in terms of who's getting banned this next game.
Heck, what is America? Okay, I mean, we did see a lot of Rampart too coming out of Storm Point, but it's actually so interesting with Rampart actually being the second most picked legend right behind Newcastle. So Newcastle will be that next legend banned after he was tied up with Caustic in the first game. So we'll say goodbye to that legend going into our final game of Storm Point. But first, looking at the second game and where that second circle is going to be going to, we're moving all the way up into the outskirts of Command Center, perhaps even by that northern choke that would lead you on the outskirts of Wall. Usually a better spot to hold is actually exactly where Fire Straits is holding right now, because sometimes that zone ends up pulling to that northwestern side, Rain Day, where you could try to close in on your back and make sure it's cleared entirely, versus being on the Stallion side, you're kind of opened up for a lot of teams exiting out of Cascade Falls and going up that hill to take some shots at you.
Yeah, that's true. There's so many different things you're trying to do at this point. Get the information, loot up. You should probably already be looted with your zone, and now you need to be having some information on where you're going. But this could also happen where you've got a team in the way already and they're trying to fight. You guys are on whites. You don't have blues yet. And things like this can happen where you get taken down. Now, it doesn't mean any team is going to want to commit off of this necessarily, because they might be on whites or blues as well. And maybe Shubi and Alberlilly are counting on that, trying to grab the banner if possible. They have the Newcastle and the Rampart, so might be able to grab that yet again. Add a crafter. But with Shubi going down, this is not looking great so far for this team. So close. He's going to have a hard time. Forced to ult just to make it up this ramp. 2 shield cells in a dream. Shubi, you ready to do ubi.
Help! Ayúdame! He's screaming! Dude, everyone is griefing Shubi. If I was Shubi right now, I'd be clenching. Like, come on, anybody else. But hey, if you're in that position and you're in a lobby like this, these are the type of positioning mistakes, and when you lose out on a teammate, that these pros are going to capitalize on. Even if you're not going to get apes like whatever you're used to within your own rank games. If a team gives up God Spot just to int whatever, it's a completely different ball game here in comp. At least, though, Shubi survives with his life, and Alberlilly did give him some suppressed fire, which actually meant the difference between whether Shubi was going to survive or not. So they get to walk away as a duo for now, while VP, on top of their rotate, doing exactly what Jamerson was highlighting before here on Storm Point. Takes the Trident, has the Gibby, is going to be able to settle down for now, but they're stopped because they're going to find themselves pinched right here unless they can suppress this team that is waiting for them, which in this case is going to be KCP.
Yeah, and this is kind of famously what I think kicked off this Gibraltar-Newcastle Rampart meta, really, especially in North America. I think it's found its way into EMEA, but it was Virtus.pro, and you know, the ability for them to kind of be this level of you know, with Zach in the mix as well, I think there's just a contention of two teams who really decided that they wanted to slow down the pace of this, find the value in these shield compositions. And it really has shifted across the board in North America, as you could watch and see the impact it has. Everyone is playing this way. My question, though, Vicky, is maybe we're not seeing it in bans, but I just have a feeling we'll see it in longer tournaments over the course of these days. You know, this is really a very specific play style, and I think the weaknesses come up when you lean on these characters too much because they're such a specific play style. You know, I could point to a lot of teams. Gaming Gladiators of the past iteration, phenomenal with the Newcastle Catalyst, but once we got kind of out of that meta, really had a hard time bouncing back and never recovered to their former glory. I feel like this is where a lot of teams can show up well in this stable type meta, but it's also really hard to transition to, I feel like, away from.
I definitely agree, and I think that's what the legend bans exposed a lot of these players. Like, you're already, oh, goodbye, Phony. I don't know if he, okay, I don't know if he was intentionally like dropped down, but at least he's got a zip line and some stairs right there just in case. But gonna be able to at least come right back up here. There is an Evil Harvester, and that was what I was wondering, with a team probably waiting for them in the outskirts. I could definitely agree with you though, Rainday, because then you have to rely on trying to make up your own makeshift cover rather than maybe trying to pry or rotate here. And when you have maps like E-District coming into play, with also teams using an Ultra Void Nexus like it's their biggest insurance policy, it could also enable some pretty questionable plays, I feel like, where it could act as a safety crutch for some teams too.
Yeah, that's really where teams need to be careful, utilizing and doing well within this meta, but staying flexible enough to know that if for whatever reason it changes, and it will change for sure, heading into not only the end of the split, we'll have new patches, but also we will see heading into January, I'm sure, multiple new patches, maybe even a new character, some obviously bigger updates, as we have at least 3 months until that occurs. You've got to be very, very careful about getting too attached to something here. But all those changes, that's the theme of today. Embrace the change in North America as we take a look at the top down of our 20 teams, 60 players. Everybody's still alive in this lobby.
And this is going to be another one of those games where it may not be pulling out into the open of the water of Storm Point, but it is going up that hill that I was wondering. And that's why it was almost on point, Rain Day, where I was talking about Stallion's position when they were on the outskirts of Command Center versus like Fire Strays and their positioning up on the other side closer to wall. And I hate that spot because there's usually a really big tree. You feel safe there, but you're not only in the line of sight of the teams that are about to rotate out of Command Center, you're in the line of sight of that gondola building that's to the south side and so many other spots that you could get shot from, as DMG coming out of Command Center start things off future streams with the knock and the finishing blow. And this is one of the teams rocking the crypto, and that is so incredibly important when we talk about what we're already witnessing between the Newcastles, between the Gibbies, etc. We don't have Caustic anymore into this equation, but when you bring out the crypto, when there's people comfortable playing these bigger characters, it ends up being detrimental, because an EMP will just annihilate that bubble if you feel like that is your only option of safety.
Yeah, well, so many people plan around those cooldowns, right? And I think it goes back into this bigger conversation of we're planning around the Trident cooldowns, you're planning around the wall placements, planning around the bubble, and then, you know, how good are you, how practiced are you to be able to have all that go away and then still make the right call, make an effective play without the things that you're really strategizing to use. You know, it's kind of like going into I don't know, going into you know, the water, and you realize you don't really have a boat anymore. You know, you have a life jacket. That's a kind of a different conversation when you want to travel. And so I think this is where these teams are really going to show their experience. Zainu getting taken down by a lot of damage here. Bucks finds him early, and actually so early that it surprises him as the nade is being thrown. And in fact, it goes down to 1, 2, 3, just like that. Zainu's the first to fall, but he's also not the last, as all of Shopify Rebellion go down in result.
I was not expecting that one. I mean, when you talk about taking smarter fights and rotations, Shopify Rebellion is one of those teams that I wanted to look at how their mentality changes itself depending on whether one game it's like hot and cold, they pop off, they find themselves a lot in these end zones, and then in situations like this, when it comes to delaying rotations and maybe considering taking more of these edge fights, it ends up being detrimental. Well, Stallions have been able to not only recuperate from what we had witnessed from their earlier part of the second game, they now try to get another knock. Albert Laley with the rampage, by the way, which completely slaps, especially when you have a charge up with a thermite. And Stay Naughty tries to push in as well, but they see the res coming out. They don't want to overextend because you already know other teams could be looking at this to try to poke at them with either a longbow, 30-30, or G7.
A lot of map awareness there. Alberlelli knowing that the nades were in the sky. They were getting aggressed on, took the Void Nexus, trying to time it out, went from ultimate high to kind of that middle height, and using a lot of traversal thanks to Altars. Just gonna slide down this hill and hold that angle, distance the fight. And I like that decision. It just slows things down. It forces much more extreme and risky decisions from the enemy team. They were playing Damatic with a beautiful shield. This is THUGGETS who were able to find a kill earlier on. Sorry, DMG were able to find a kill in that final zone. Unfortunately, not able to finish it all off, and THUGGETS taking the win in game 1, but they were right in the mix there. 7 points now. Future Streams up on the high ground and hits a nice couple of shots with the G7 for 85 across the way.
With the Crypto EMP, by the way, to start some things off, because even though it doesn't delete the rampart walls entirely, it still deletes the damage amp barrier half part of it on the top part. So that can come in clutch and trying to push into some of these fights and get a lot more aggressive. And they're one of the teams running a rather unorthodox comp, and that's what I would call it. They're literally the only team aside from Oblivion that are trying to make this Wraith work, at least for the second game. Most of the time, we've been seeing Wraith saved up for E-District to help out with these rotations, and instead, DMG are using it as an opportunity to have the Crypto EMP to start the engagement.
Yeah, I mean, every great team is going to be able to use, you know, a few legends really well. But when you get to, you know, the best of the best, they have to be able to change consistently. And that's hard to do. And that's why many teams, you know, don't try to take on that challenge. They just try to be as efficient as possible. And I like that this lineup, Watson, Crypto, and Wraith, not going to get banned out very easily. And for at least 3 to 4 games, you're not even going to come close to seeing, and it would be Wraith that would be potentially banned on something like E-District after being played for the first game. So they've got a lot of room to get comfortable with this. I think the Crypto is good as well because you don't have the mobility on a lot of these ramparts, these Newcastles, and these Gibbies. And when you speak of mobility, well, there's no need to be mobile when you're on the top of a hill. Verholz, Phony, and Jim Burton trying to make something happen here with 100 Thieves.
Phony, get ready.
Yeah, my spider choke is like free. It's like fucking free. And if they take it, it's bad. Yeah. We should probably take it.
Car. I'm driving car then.
Yeah, drive it to me. Drive it to me.
Look at the car right now. They're going checkpoint.
Just keep come, Evan. Come, Evan.
Evan, drive. Fucking on.
Yeah.
You guys need to come to the car over here.
Yeah, we're coming.
Cold here. It's fine here for now. We can grab this later.
Yeah, I'm putting them on our back side.
Am I drive the car over here?
Yeah, get ready. Are they?
Yeah, they're trying to. You can fence it. If they drive past the fence, they get fucking stuck.
Zapped on them.
I don't think they know that, so to be ready.
They got right check. Just let them get right. Can we move up now?
I move the car up, okay? I'll bubble and you're moving it.
Okay, I'll hold her back for now.
This one's on the like cannon side. Get ready.
Fine.
I don't drive it back.
No one here.
Hold her back still.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, 100 Thieves trying to keep the space that they've got. Very important choke to hold. Could say that this might be the tilting point, the turning point, the shifting moment of their game if they can do it correctly. But of course, a lot of other teams trying to get in that mix. DMG, we were seeing them play a little bit as well. And, you know, now we're watching Virtus.pro. Vicky, there's a lot of teams trying to make their move. Feels like it's go time.
Luckily, at least for VP, you know, they're looking right behind them, but they're not chameleons. It's going to be difficult with the zone closing in behind their backs and everybody focused with them in their line of sight. MT, not only on bricks, but doing his best, sending out the Gibby bubble. It's round 4. You know that is making his eyes cry. And CIMJ, when they thought they have an opportunity, Darklight was like, sit down. This is our KP right now. You can wait your turn. And now 5-star move all the way back up here. They hold on to the high ground. It's just a matter of time before they're forced to get out of the zone.
Yeah, and this is where hopefully you have enough resources to withstand this, because there's not a lot of ways that you could play this. If you don't have a trident and you don't have enough time to go back around the other way, you got to fight through it, hit a great couple of headshots, take advantage of it. There's no Ashe being played the same way. I mean, very few Ashes at all now, thanks to the nerf, the dual reach ultimate nerf, and some of the changes to her tether, which have taken her out of favor very quickly in replace of this other squad. But you can see the difficulty in pushing past these chokes with this lineup. The Apex that you saw 2 weeks ago can't be played anymore because people just don't have the mobility. You've got to kind of brute strength your way through, and you can see it right here with Fire Strays eliminated. Avely and Golden trying to stay alive here, but Masters of Evil pushing in as well.
You just break through if you need to. Instead, if you have the ability just to break not only through the space of these walls and fences, but you could take a page out of the book of The Shining and say, here's Johnny, but instead it's with either a PK or an EVA 8. And 5-star move all the way up. Aeons is on fire right now. So far, Tadul as the kill leader with still 15 squads left. Meanwhile, Dark is just going to farm with a gold G7. Oh my, I love the G. Again, one of my favorite weapons out here. And Dark's got the gold G7. That's all he needs here when he's dancing around the edge of the bubble with these PK shots.
Oh my goodness. Dark turned the lights out on that fight. I mean, there wasn't even a chance. They didn't see a thing. They were just getting hit for 98. They paid more attention looking at their health bar going to 0 than looking at Dark right there. And I love an aggressive play. Kuzme don't know what was going on. He kind of stood, took a lot of G7 scout damage, didn't move fast enough, and that set off what now has become a really nice momentum builder for Dark and squad. THUGGETS are winners of game 1, held up in this building, get the Newcastle wall slammed onto them. Oh, it's tight in here. Not enough room in this elevator. Oh, we're seeing this again and again. These big bodies from Gibraltar and Newcastle. There's not enough room in Storm Point for the both of them, and THUGGETS goes down.
Too many pitches to hide there for the big boy, while Grow is just letting it unleash with the Rampart and the Sheila. 5-star get eliminated, and DMG inside the neighboring building of Grow Gaming. Everyone was taking chunkings out of that team that just fell right at their feet, but this is going to be equally just as hard to get out of here. They desperately need loot, and guess what? That was the indicator for DMG to know that here, because they see that Ultra Portal, and all it takes is for them to delete that Newcastle wall and those Rampart walls before the inevitable happens, and they really only have 40 seconds to start moving forward.
Yeah, and if somebody gets aggressive, you know, maybe even an altar, one portal there, one portal underneath them, it's an easy kidnap because they don't have a lot of space to move up on top. And DMG actually finds Nox. We went away from that, but just as a heads up, DJ Killa and Future Streams taking down Grow Gaming. So DMG finds another one. Meanwhile, 100 Thieves in a really good spot still. And we talked about turning points, Vicky. This might just be it. Liquid Alienware to their side. They've held this area for as long as they possibly could. Still one more big team threatening them on that eastern side.
I love how the cogs were moving in real time for 100 Thieves. They were thinking about rotating to get involved in this fight, and then they're like, wait, let's just get right back behind Team Liquid instead. And they took some shots, but they can't push on this just yet because they're still, Team Liquid specifically, are playing off the slip out of the line of sight of 100 Thieves. Really cheeky positioning too, and it works into their team composition as they are also one of the teams rocking this Newcastle. But 100 Thieves are trying to get aggressive here. As you can see, Verhulst getting into a position, and now noting here, at least one of those teammates do have red, it looks like, on the other side. So 8 squads left and just trying to move up.
Wow, really felt that there might be some pressure there because you see the Gibraltar bubble go down. And Fody decides to use a very important cooldown here as the transition. But look at this, Liquid Alienware, instead of pushing onto 100 Thieves, actually push onto Rock, and it's Saucerer who goes down. DMG eliminated on the other side of the map, trying to climb uphill. So difficult there. And you can see already being absorbed by the zone. It's your name here on the bottom side, and NIP over on the west to pay attention to. 100 Thieves have won the battle of high ground. And so they're just going to sit pretty here for a while, making sure nobody tries to come up their hill and essentially making everyone fight each other. Can they do it, though? Well, every other team is going to try to stop them.
Every team that left out of Cascade also just fell at their feet right now. Oblivion staring down at that barrel of the Sheila. Unreal Nightmare maybe living out the nightmare with them having to burn out that Gibby bubble. Get the res, though. This is the green light as they slide in with the beautiful massive hip fire shots. That's going to be Davis coming through with that, and you can still hear the 30-30s out in the distance, but they have so much makeshift cover to work off of.
I think that's another top 5 for Oblivion. So even though they haven't gotten the win yet, some very good performances so far in terms of getting into that final zone. Some good zone calling and maneuvering there from the IGL. We'll see if they can turn it into a win. 100 Thieves, well, they played patient. They've recognized the moments that the battle hinged on a decision. They've made all the right ones up until now. Phony, Jin Burton, Verhulst, and Balverine joining them as a coach. Oh, it'd feel good to get a match day win right on that timing. But NIP, your name stand in their way. 3 squads left here. And it's NIP and 100 Thieves.
With 100 Thieves, the boys are back in town here, all grouped up together, reunited, and it feels so good. And Verhulst with these PK shots, he peeks at them, they call in the bombardment, they have safety underneath the dome of protection, and they're not overextending. They see the kills, but if they give up this space, guess who's just gonna come up right behind them?
My goodness, he got absolutely chunked. Look at that. He lost nearly 160 health in 1 moment. And you can see Unreal Nightmare saying, is this really happening? Is this really happening? We have low ground. Everyone can see us. They're fighting each other. I mean, Unreal Nightmare, more like a real dream. They got the 2 best teams. Not even looking at them. And they take the win here. Oh, it's as easy as it comes for Unreal Nightmare.
That's actually crazy how KCP just fully, just sent it onto 100 Thieves like that. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, they had to pick which team they had to fully send it on because they recognize that even if they split their attention to Unreal Nightmare, that would just leave their entire backs exposed to 100 Thieves. So it was either one or the other. They knew that they were not in the position to take the dub. And unfortunately, it was 100 Thieves that were forced to get that 2nd place. But even better for Unreal Nightmare, who definitely needed it to get that dub.
Yeah, I mean, that's where, the game of Apex becomes infinitely more complicated because you plan to be on high ground and in a pretty decent position with 2 teams below you, or at least to the side of you, with, a shield, a rampart shield, and, basically a minigun, and yet you still don't have the winning position. How do you think about that, Vicky? Because really what it came down to was the decisions the other teams had to make were more important for them to make, essentially decisions that did not favor 100 Thieves, even though 100 Thieves were in the most favored spot. I think most teams would have traded spots with 100 Thieves there. So it might just be part of the game, but overall, at least they even out in first place.
I think it was super smart of them because look at what them going towards 100 Thieves, and even if they could secure at least 1 to 2 extra KP, look what that did for them. They got 8 KP in that entire game, and even if they didn't get the dub, they still got 15 total points from it.
Yeah, 100%. This is a very, very good final zone. Unreal Nightmare just played the zone, and obviously that puts them in a good spot. 14 points, not a ton of kills too, but they'll take those 12 points to stop and to start, and that puts 100 Thieves, Ninjas, and Pyjamas in conflict today. And I like that because McLovin, Vayne, and Kurev, they've been some of the really most on fire players that we've seen, not just across North America, but in this entire split too. A team that we love talking about. The org representation has just fit them like a glove. Raven has really found his team again, it feels like, coming away from those TSM days. And this is a team we've got to pay attention to. I know there's been a lot of other highlights over the course of North America, but we definitely have to keep an eye on NIP, who overall take the most points in that game.
Yeah, it's crazy because then you also have to think about Team Liquid and where they stand too, and how they're trying to move along, but is it too little too late is the question here, as they found signs of life within their last match day and they need to keep it going here.
Yeah, a lot of highlights, lowlights as well. Team Liquid, man, hoping for a better step up here overall if they want to make that championship cutoff. We'll talk about that and get you to Game 3 in just a second on the other side of this break.
What are you guys up?
Bro, I got Maggie bomb, man. That guy's just not bad. He just popped out. He's one shot, one touch. He's one touch. Oh my god! Oh my god!
I crawled the building.
Last guy was one shot.
Bro.
Fuck. Oh
my god.
Nice. I got a team,
Yeah, that arena. Come on, get that.
これ俺ら下入り込まれてなんか取られちゃうと悪くないっすよ。
映してる6時ナイスナイス。ゆっくり左回り行くよ俺屋根上に行くよか
丸切れ切れそれ一人上。
いやピックする
登るよ。
30 100 70 70やった起こそういいよシング
なんで
ナイスあと2枚頑張れ向かって1枚やろわざだろ
ナイス。上来た。頑張れ。ナイス。
起こせるすぐ起こせるナイス
10秒。
わあうわ
Behind the wall. Pushing. Nice, baby.
Yeah.
Close.
Did I do it?
Can you? Behind the wall. Can you?
Sony InZone, the official monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm back here with Jamerson, and after the action that we just saw unfold, it seemed like it was just high-octane action, honestly, right after we just saw 100 Thieves position themselves really at the end game. It was just everybody fully sending it on with the Newcastle walls as we take a look back at the final circle. And what really unfolded here, Jamerson, Rain Day and I, we got to see a lot of these teams simultaneously coexist, basically that one little hill separating NIP and 100 Thieves. But I was talking about it with Rain Day here, Jamerson. Essentially, in this moment, we had NIP just situate what they needed to do, and they decided to go either play for second or third here, even if they had lost out on this fight, because what they wanted to prioritize was KP if they knew that they couldn't win with the other team on the other side.
Yeah, for NIP, it was pretty clear, right? They needed to take a fight somewhere, and the easiest way to not get third party to the middle of it is to take a fight here on the high ground. You can see that Unreal Nightmare on the low ground have no angles whatsoever in this fight. For Unreal Nightmare, they're just waiting. As soon as you see the trades happen here from either side, it's about to happen. Like right about now, there's the trades, and instantly Unreal Nightmare are on top of this. They're not able to steal away any kills, unfortunately, but they do end up getting the win. And Unreal Nightmare, one of the other teams that are running that Gibraltar and Rampart composition, were, of course, just banking off of securing the placement points for themselves. So eventually, you know, they'll look towards getting some KP, but I think just making sure in the first 3 games, when you're putting basically all your eggs in this one basket, you get the points that are guaranteed to come to you.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because when depending on obviously like where these zone pools are, right, and what utility you're working off of, you've been doing a really good job, Jamerson, at calling out, you know, some of these amps that some of these teams are rocking, and what that provides to help them out with some of these rotates, whether it be helping them out with a quicker bubble, so that way they can go in for a rotation off of Trident as quickly as they can and stay on there if they just want to play objective. We have to see as we move on to our final game here on Stormpoint. Game number 3. It feels like today has been flying by.
It really has. We're about to end Stormpoint. I love casting Stormpoint. I can't believe it's almost over already. But Unreal Nightmare showing off again. You have to prioritize getting these tridents away. So no one from 100 Thieves over there is going to go ahead and pick that one up. They do have one more to the northwest of Cenote. And so that should be free for them to pick up. For right now, Unreal Nightmare again. This is a team we saw early on in the split have a really great performance and then dropped off in the next match day after that one. Oh, no. T-Law, we were talking about it before the break. They needed to turn around, and looks like, again, the variance here in North America, where we're just not able to get, you know, repeat consistent performances out of any of our teams so far. It has been up and down for almost everyone across the board.
It's tough. It's really hard with what's at stake, honestly, for Team Liquid. This is a team that I feel like over the past year specifically have struggled in finding their footing. Yes, they've gone through iterations of changes. Now, you know, they're all back up together. Nizul is playing for his life, but this team DMG, you know what's crazy to me, Jamerson? I actually recognized Future Stream's name, but I wasn't sure until literally in the last game. I'm like, I need to double check because I forgot to double check last time. But I had played with this really cracked ballistic about a year ago in Wildcard. I think this ballistic dropped like over 8k damage, and obviously like Wildcard, not Wildcard, rather 3 strikes. As you can see here with the tracking on the charge rifle, dude dropped like over 8k damage onto 3 strikes, and then we followed each other on TikTok. He's like, oh, you casted ALGS? I'm like, yeah. Go over to his TikTok. It's the same guy that we see right now trying to finish off Team Liquid, and Nizul is tired. He sees one player from DMG trying to chase him down, and that was for mi amigos. So now he's gonna leave right now. He's gonna try to see if he can recover his friends' banners and maybe restabilize Team Liquid, because they need this on his shoulders right now if they can. And I'm not too sure if I just heard that zipline maybe up towards the cart. Hopefully it's not an evac, as he's going to try to survive for the rest of Team Liquid. Unfortunately, though, I'm trying to look for a replicator. The closest one may even be Coastal Camp, where Unreal Nightmare will be at, and they will also have a survey beacon scan in your rain console. So it won't be isolated with other teams that may want to look to trying to rotate. They're thinking 100 Thieves that will take their time to rotate from maybe the back end with the Trident.
Oh, surprising. NIP actually misread their scan. Right, so NIP came in from that south side and they hit up the survey beacon, and note that there are 3 separate players. It's DMG, 2 players of DMG, and 1 player in T-Law, and they counted it as like, oh, it's 3, it's a full 3. They didn't note that it was actually an isolated player they could have gone after and gotten a free point, but they do end up going straight into Launchpad. We've seen these circles before, I believe earlier, I don't know, match day 2, one ending off that, the middle finger here at Launchpad, just off the tip of it. So they are getting there early on. Again, having that Trident in position for indestructible cover proves to be so invaluable here. So I get that, but it's kind of unfortunate they did end up missing out on that solo of Team Liquid Alienware. As the EMP comes out, Stallions now looking to get aggressive, and it's Oblivion on the other side of this one.
And they're not alone, too. I believe we just saw Rock, by the way. Baxon was trying to get into position, but if the double EMP wasn't enough to try to grief your plan over in that corner, I'm surprised they're even still alive, but it may not be for very long. Oblivion, they get eliminated. Team Inferno eventually follow up right afterwards. NIP are still claiming heads here as Stallions are looking to get into position. Actually, conveniently enough, a pretty good spot to be at if you have an altar when it comes to repositioning, but NIP are in the line of sight of so many other teams. While Noct is trying to get in on the action.
Oh no. Luckily, of course, they do have the Gibraltar Newcastle, which has been pretty much the flex that teams go to once that Newcastle ends up getting banned out. So having the Gibraltar and that Rampart, you still have that layered defense. You just don't have that extra kind of, cover my ass angle there, but they do have the Trident in position. They've got the other cover to utilize. It's just, you got to make sure you keep your head down. You keep your head down because teams do have angles in there. For Team Liquid Alienware, though, Nizo was able to get his players back on in, so Yanya Jaguares dropping back on down. We do have 100 Thieves over at Echo HQ, who, if they heard it, could try to go for this fight, but it looks like they're going to put a lot more focus on getting towards that south side of the zone. I mean, they do have the ring console along with that survey beacon to play off of, so it's a natural point for them to stop off at. They can go back on over to Devastated Coast after this. So I think it's about, again, 100 Thieves slow playing these games. We saw it in game number 2, where they were basically keeping track of VP the entire time over there at Northpad, over by the Trident spawn, and slow played it out there. They weren't getting overly aggressive on these fights. They were just making sure that they were controlling their side.
And we get to see the MVP clutchness, by the way, here for Team Liquid. A team that was down to 1 from Nizul has brought everyone back up to par. It will be slow for them, though, since they still have white Evos, and they're going to have to forcibly play objective, while 5-Star are trying to get some KP themselves involved in a fight. One of the teams rocking that crypto, and it's about all that information you could try to obtain here, with Dark being that fragger that we keep seeing Dark getting to these positions. That's why you also see Dark being on this altar to try to reposition quickly.
You gotta be careful here, just a bit. Again, it's so early on. You don't quite know, if you haven't been able to hit the scans in a while, what other teams are around you. For KCP, you can see that, yeah, they've got Dark there. There was Orin as well, kind of split up. 5-Star still looking for this fight. Dark actually getting pretty pretty ballsy with these plays right now. Again, he doesn't quite have the backup of his team. He does have A1s in the sky, though, keeping tabs of that squad. And so he knows that they're backing off. They'll be able to at least creep up a little bit. KCP, avoid a large portion of this fight for right now. They'll go ahead and back away.
I think it's very curious to also state that there's actually the 12 cryptos in this lobby. Alter is the most picked legend, which is even crazier to think that we won't have Alter going into E-District. But it's not so surprising with the way that a lot of the games have gone down in other regions too in a very similar fashion, right? So now Alter not available for that next game. Instead, with 100 Thieves, not even one of the teams rocking the Alter. It's the Mad Maggie, the Warden herself, and a beautiful kitted up G7. He's still trying to build up into those perks. Just needs a bit more damage here. And 100 Thieves with Jen Burden back in form is trying to take this fight versus Future Stream's DMG from the other side.
We were highlighting this fight that will eventually come here, and it's going to be the big fight over the objectives. Having that map scan, having the survey beacon scan as well. A knock from the defensive bombardment gives them the advantage. 100 Thieves instantly slide on in. Nice snipe onto that drone there, and that takes out a lot of the fighting power, a lot of the comeback potential for DMG. 100 Thieves are just going to go ahead and completely put their foot on the pedal here, chasing down Chaos Feelings. And it's all up to Future to try and keep them alive for now. He will have an opportunity to try and back away, but I think he might actually be running into Liquid Alienware. Remember, this is how we all started things off. DMG versus Liquid Alienware. Now the tables have turned.
Back to the scene of the crime with maybe a little bit of revenge sprinkled on top. We're gonna have to see how that plays out, because again, I don't believe there was a replicator in Echo H here. That's why we saw Nizu even wrap all the way around. So the only replicator is outside of that next zone. Hopefully we'll see DMG maybe try to recuperate. It is the crypto, so if you have only one player left on your team, it's best if it is the crypto to pick up those banners and get that remote beacon res, as Shopify look like they're in trouble once again.
DGAP pushing straight forward. James Fearless has to be careful. As the tip of the spear for his squad, you can see instantly decide to back away. Oh my goodness, with about 5 HP, he will be able to make it back to the safety of his squad, but he did do a decent amount of damage to Shopify Rebellion. Shopify Rebellion, though, haven't made the swap off. They've got the Crypto, Alter, and the Mad Maggie, so they want to fight. So they were expecting a huge swap off of onto Gibraltar's in this lobby. And right now, Shopify Rebellion, their sole goal is to take this fight, but they've got to be careful. Oran Esports coming in from behind. Avali is able to trade back, but Zainu comes on in, bringing this down to a 1v2. Golden now brings it down to a 1v1. And the third party is coming out, and it looks like both of these teams might fall.
Oh, looking at the side-by-side, because it's a third party moving in. It's not even just a third party. Is that a fourth party I see here in the distance? And an EMP. Talk about timing. Shopify are the first to go out, which means they do not get the KP from the knocks that they just got. That also means that Shopify, I believe, may still have 0 points. They have not gotten any KP throughout the course of these last few games. This is detrimental because it's showcasing a shift of what Shopify had working out for them in the other maps, and then now looking at how they're playing into Stormpoint today.
It's the Jamerson curse, apparently. Because Roadhouse on the other side for EMEA kind of struggled as well. But I still have hope. I still have hope. Shopify Rebellion, again, they are going to shift and pivot harder and harder into edge fighting style. And so expect that once we go on over to E-District for them to try and find these fights. Again, I think they're trying to regain their footing on this particular composition, utilizing the crypto. Once I think they do go over back towards that Sparrow, that's where they have a lot more fighting power. That's where I've seen a lot more comfort out of them. Zapto navigating both those players on that crypto, giving them that team fight power that they really need. But right now, yeah, things are not looking good for them whatsoever. They're not the only team, though, currently sitting at 0 points, because Inferno joined them there at the bottom of the leaderboard with 20 points as well at the end here of match number 3.
I was looking at them, and you know, another team that I was expecting to have a pop-off few games here on Stormpoint was actually VP, especially after their insane consistency on Stormpoint during match day 2, where they literally got first place, second place, first place with great KP, but it's just different here with the way that these zones are just not really allowing them to shine, even if they are situated in a really good spot. It's about trying to get more of these KP opportunities, and DMG, I don't know how they did it, but they get the res, and they try to stay alive, and maybe that doesn't last for very long because they heard the other team who was waiting idly by. It is 5-star. The EMP, though, now sets them up for success as 5-star wipe out 2 members of DMG.
That is one of the most unfortunate timings. They were looking to just try and get the res to get that natural heal so they can conserve their economy, and then they just get instantly sent on. That's why I was like, why is the crypto running in? He didn't actually get the knock. Oh, he needs the EMP right now. So very unfortunate for DMG. The timing on them, unfortunately, this entire game has been pretty detrimental. And so now it's all up to DJ Killa on this Wraith to try his best. But yeah, I think you just get the KP that you got. You get the 1 placement point here in the game. 5-star throwing actually so much at this one solo here, but they tagged him. The rings should eventually do the rest for them. And there it is. DMG knocked down, bringing us down to 13 players remaining. We did have an interesting pull away from quote unquote fingers of Launchpad here. And so while it won't be falling directly on one of those ends, it is going to fall in between the middle of those two. So Unreal Nightmare right now, again, slow playing things on the southwest side. Stallions, they were able to recover the banner of Abraleli, but they don't have something like a Gibraltar or anything to cover a res. If they have a mobile respawn beacon, I actually wasn't keeping an eye on that. But I don't even know if they'll have the opportunity. There's so many teams here on the northeast side. Look, right on top of Stallions, you got Grow, you got THUGGETS, Rock Esports, Ninjas in Pyjamas, Orin Esports. Anyone sees that mobile respawn beacon go down, if they have one, they'll get instantly pounced on or at least obliterated by all the long-range weaponry.
And it's even more tough, too, considering it's the crypto player that had gotten out and gotten finished, so it's not like it will be able to remotely get a res, too, so it makes it even harder as KCP are looking at 5-star. This is what I'm wondering, you know, so you get a little anxious for KP. You tap him once. I mean, it was circle 4. He wasn't going to go anywhere. I wasn't expecting anyone to take him away, but they stayed back there in that choke for so long that it took away the opportunity to time this rotate better to avoid this exact situation they find themselves in. KCP are now creeping up from behind them. They're forced to res, and everybody left in the lobby is just straight up looking at them.
Do have the defensive bombardment going down, and it will secure the knock onto A1s and the kill. There's one more picked up for Jay at this point. Pioneers haven't been able to play at the same momentum that they have throughout a large portion of this split, and you could say, of course, that's natural with losing out on the firepower of Cersei. Like you had mentioned, Vicky, at the top of the show, Cersei was a massive contributor for this team. He would oftentimes just solo open up fights for him, getting a knock, getting 2 knocks, and he was fantastic. But not having that in play makes it a lot more difficult for someone like Cruelbuckle, who has been able to play off the Newcastle extremely well and have, you know, highlight reels of his own throughout this split. But again, just not having that same kind of firepower, not having the same kind of deflection when it comes to a lot of these pushes, with Cersei just being able to beam people down and force them back. Right now, though, Team Liquid Alienware try to make their way on in. THUGGETS right above them. In the middle of the ring over here for Grow Gaming, they have a few teams in their way. Masters of Evil, they've got Ninjas in Pyjamas, Orin Esports, and even Rock Esports just off to their side. This is going to be a very difficult rotate for them. They do have that altar to utilize, but you can see as soon as they poke out, so many teams have angles on them. This is going to be so rough.
See Cruelbuckle popping off in the feed too, and I just shout out to Cruelbuckle with the way that they've been able to try to reconceive with what this changeup has been, but it's up to Jay now, as we don't want to jinx him. KCP trying to stay alive. Oh! That was a little scary. I always catch a little bit when a Watson's trying to do Watson things, but with the Rampart and even with the slowdown, the PK and the tracking is more than enough. While Rock are paying attention to the fight that's happening right in front of them, that just looks like death corner, because every single team we see trying to hide in that same exact spot has just fell to their doom. And now Saucer here being on that crypto, it does get destroyed. It looks like here they're still just continuously trying to harass them, even with this team still having a little lip of cover from the Trident.
Oh, you can see the slide in from Pioneers. They were looking for the third party the entire time. Jay picks that one up, but Vaxlot answers back with that knock. They do have the Gibraltar to keep them safe. You know, even though we don't have a Newcastle, we still have the Jibby here. Still great for that res, for that shield. KCP are able to instantly pivot, spot Unreal Nightmare are trying to take up their spot, and with a shot like that from Mav, and a second one to follow up, Huntsman was coming in for the backup, and now he's down. The Gibraltar is out of this one. Mav charging forward, they get the second bubble, and they will be able to clean up Unreal Nightmare, but they can't lose anyone. There we go. Cruel Buckle does fall, but fortunately for them, everyone else are just busy with their own threats. Liquid Alienware and THUGGETS on the south side, surviving with each other. Orin, NIP, along with Masters of Evil, they're on the northeast. 100 Thieves having to keep an eye on THUGGETS and Liquid Alienware, but here we go. The rotates on in, and THUGGETS get knocked out of the sky in that Trident, and now Pioneers shifting once again to play off of momentum.
Dude, I love Apex. I love Mav is going crazy, by the way. Like, imagine showing up. We're here talking about Cersei. Mav is like, don't worry, you put some respect on my name. You don't know the business that I've had to put down in collegiate Apex, because I've heard that Mav has popped off before, and here Mav comes through with the rest of KCP alongside Jay and Cruel Buckle after making this transition now, circling right behind T-Law. There comes the Wrecking Ball. There is a Sheila, but they're not afraid.
Team Liquid Anywhere out 100 Thieves as well. The third party from Masters of Evil. Pioneers have taken very little damage. Never mind. Cruel Buckle will buckle at that. Mav tries to hold the line with that PK. Legatron on the other side. Jay is still alive. It's now Orin Esports coming in for the third party, and Orin Esports clearing out that north side. Charge forward to the south to clean things up and pick up the win. That's going to put them in first place overall with 38 points.
Dude, that was... Did KCP just drop like a 20 bomb as a full squad, right? Like, I don't even know. They just went so crazy. I saw Mav with like over 8 or 9 kills. Like, that was crazy show work from KCP. Orin in a really good spot to go in for a 3-piece, something that we're seeing more consistently within the early part of the 6-game series. That may not play out to that same degree depending on where these teams find themselves going into like game 5 or 6 at the very end of our series. But KCP, what was that? We were talking about them. It was like we just summoned it into fruition, Jamerson. As we take a look at the match results, let's actually see how much damage they did, how much KP they were able to obtain. Are you kidding me? It wasn't the 20 like I thought, but it was 19 KP. 19 KCP, I guess, with the way that they've been just the way they just moved together as a unit was crazy. But Orin taking that dub with also 8 KP, that's a lot of points for them to walk away with, especially looking at how consistent they've been thus far on Stormpoint when it comes to trying to call out when they want to take some of these fights or when they've fallen short. I believe in the last game, they fell in the middle of their rotate in 13th place with only, I don't even think they had any KP, so this was pretty big for them.
Yeah, and particularly for Orin, they had one of the harder end games there, right? We saw that big pileup of teams, 3, 4, 5 teams still alive. They're inside of Launchpad. And so for them to be able to basically survive that entire thing is already a miracle in and of itself. KCP, I think they might have gotten a little bit lost in the sauce. We're chasing after all these kill points for themselves. And you know what? I don't begrudge them for that because they put up an amazing performance there. But it was crucial that they don't lose anyone on that fight whatsoever. And we saw as soon as that happened, Orin Esports, again, all of our teams here in Americas, they understand what is the win condition here. What are we waiting for? We see the trade. We go ahead and charge on in. Orin Esports saw the trade and they go in and deal the death blow at the end there. So that's a great performance coming out from them in the first half for both those squads.
Certainly was, guys. And, you know, Orin Esports finding a way up to the top of the leaderboard. Wouldn't have expected that, but I think going in hand with the theme of embracing the change, that's what the rest of the lobby is going to have to do here in E-District, as Orin have taken a commanding lead, especially with that win there. And it's looking like a smooth set so far. We'll see if they can continue on that. Vicky Jamerson, great job on the cast. I'm back here with you guys, Rain Day as your host, and you know we've got some fun things to head into this halftime as well. You know, first thoughts, obviously it feels like that third game always kind of goes pretty fast on Stormpoint. People feel like they know what they're doing on it. They feel like comfortable, and I think that we sometimes get looking ahead towards what they're going to have to do for E-District versus really finishing strong on Stormpoint. But, you know, at the end of the day, those are the intricacies of having a pro team. And, you know, me may be seeing it from the outside, but inside, it's very, very different. That's why we have an inside man. No, it's not Denzel Washington and Clive Owen. We're actually bringing in somebody who's even better looking and more accomplished. That's right. Hodic, our friend from the very beginning. How about that for an intro, buddy?
I mean, definitely very flattering. Not sure I agree with most of it, but one of the better ones I've gotten. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad. I hope you remember me in the future when you're on big orgs and things like that. Obviously, the joke and also the truth is that you were part of that Stallion shakeup, my man, and you left that team. Obviously, it's late in Pro League. You yourself admitted that it's kind of a little bit of an unfortunate timing in terms of not what you would have planned. How have things been since that, and what is kind of up with the state of Hodic now that we've got Japan in for championships in a few months, but obviously the end of this Pro League here?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a really tough time to do roster changes. Obviously Japan is right around the corner, not literally, but in terms of, the actual like Pro League days and gameplay days you get to actually practice as a roster, you don't have a lot of time. It's unfortunate. For me, at least, I feel like it was the right move for me to part ways, but it's sad because, it's like it's a whole year's worth of work put in to potentially miss Japan, despite having the capability to go. But I have faith in the rosters, though, both sides of the coin there, and I think they'll do hopefully great things come Japan. We're still a long way away from there.
Well, I want to let Vicky and Jamerson talk to you a bit, but I want to set up the easy kind of lowball question first before they pick it up, which is, what are your thoughts after 3, match day 6? We've got all these new patch changes. What is the impact maybe you expected? What is the impact that you've seen after 3?
Yeah, I mean, so far for the most part, it's basically nothing has really changed too much outside of maybe gun meta. People maybe picking up a little bit less of the 30-30, a little bit more of the scout. But I mean, honestly, I'm just really surprised at some of the teams and how difficult it's been for a couple of the big names. I mean, obviously, like most notably, I think right now, at least, is Shopify Rebellion. I mean, it's just the first 3 games, and that roster has every capability to come back. But card POIs are extremely rampant right now in Stormpoint, and it's almost always prioritized now because Newcastle, Gibby, Caustic, at least straight out of the gate, super good. We're in a very defensive meta, so to see card POI teams, especially one as strong as Shopify, not do too hot is really surprising. So, but they're a roster that can bring it back very easily.
Hodic, I got a question for you. So, looking at the results of what we've been seeing from a lot of these players, what are your thoughts specifically about the Challenger Circuit players that have really, they've just risen up thus far, I think, within the last year specifically, more than I've ever really been aware of, I feel like, and that's coming from somebody who covered Challenger Circuit for 2 or 3 years or so, and seeing these players that I'm familiar with their names really starting to show up here in Americas, a region that's pretty difficult to contest with. What are your thoughts so far on the young gun talent that we have now approaching the scene?
I mean, I think it's kind of like the natural way of things, right? I mean, we're in year 6 of the game, year 5 of Pro League, right? A lot of these names that you see on the leaderboard are a lot of the same names you've been seeing for years. So I think we're kind of in that part now where we're getting to the next generation of players, the next generation that's really hungry, that really want to succeed, and it shows, right? At the end of the day, even though it's no shade to like any of the veteran players, they're still as good as they've ever been. It's just the game's evolving, and if they aren't as hungry as they were when they first started, like a lot of these younger players are, it's not going to be too hard for them to be overtaken in the long run. I mean, the game's evolving a lot, and if you don't evolve with it, it's going to be really rough for a lot of players.
Yeah, and you touched upon it there just beforehand, where you were talking about not seeing Shopify Rebellion do well here in the first half. But I mean, that's kind of been like the running theme, I think, here in America, is a lot of our top teams also having just these terrible days, right? I think ZZ went from almost a win to scoring 0 points whatsoever, and now they're watching the rest of this lobby. And it seems like to be a recurring thing amongst our top teams right now. What do you think is going on so far? Is it something to do with the meta? Is it still teams dealing with the roster changes? What's going on with the variance here in America?
I definitely think a lot of it is roster changes. I mean, the sad thing about Pro League, and a lot of my rosters have been kind of victim to this, and this is something you don't see, it's something that you only learn kind of like behind the scenes, is if you have like one bad day or one really bad scrim day, or like one bad Pro League week with like the scrims leading up to it, you see a lot of players start to kind of give up on each other behind the scenes internally, like mentally, and they start to think about what their options are roster wise, right? They start to not, rather than working on the problems that the team has and building each other up and trying to figure it out and come out stronger on the other side. A lot of them just think about, oh, well, this team's not doing well. Maybe I can join them, or maybe I can grab one of their players on my roster. And I think a lot of that is kind of low key happening a little bit behind the scenes. There's a lot of other things. I mean, the game is really hard right now. Truthfully, every map plays differently, requires different characters. POIs are depending on what POI you're playing on, what game number, like everything. The game is so complex now. So sometimes I think teams just struggle to adjust to that. But I do think a lot of it is like, hey, like I just don't really believe in my teammates. And then that's kind of like that thought is almost like it's like a parasite in the back of your mind, right? And it infects the whole team pretty bad. So I think that's a kind of a lot of the case of North America. And I think that could be potentially, I'm not saying it is because I haven't talked to anyone in ZZ, but it could have been potentially maybe something that like kind of affected them in the past.
Well, I have a lot to say on that. I won't say it here. Maybe we'll jump into it in the game, but I think it's a great point. I think anyone who is listening to that, you hit the nail on the head for a lot of what we're seeing in the ALGS. I wonder if it'll change. If not, I wonder who will take advantage of the fact that there are very few teams who are sticking together and getting those, those valuable moments of going through tough times and coming out on the other side to become even stronger as a squad. So I appreciate your insight, man. And it's always great to talk to you, Hodic. Thank you for the wrap up. It's gone by quickly, so we enjoy having you on Halftime, man, and hopefully we see you very, very soon.
No, thank you guys. Always love being here. It's an absolute pleasure.
All right, Hodic, formerly of every single team you could even think about that he's coached. It's just been incredible to watch his journey, and obviously without a team now, we'll see how or if that changes. We've got some fun content though that we've been putting together on our socials, by the way. And if you want to check it out and you need an incentive, check out our giveaway on TikTok and on Instagram. 11,500 coins on each one of those platforms means you get a chance to get some serious coinage if you just follow. You have the accounts already. Come on, you got to. And then go ahead and make sure that Apex is one of those following accounts that you've got. It's easy to check it out. And if you still need more of of an incentive, you got to check out some of our content that we've got going on. Some great shorts. We played them in EMEA. I don't think we'll have a chance to play them now, but they're really fun. Guys, before we let go, Vicky, what were your thoughts on Hodic's last statement there, heading into the inability for teams to kind of have that long-term vision of each other when mistakes happen? What's your takeaway from that?
I have so many opinions off of this, just only because I'll keep it short.
Keep it short, pal, because we're running out of time.
I know. Vicky, start the game. Sorry, let me push the big red button. But when it comes to what I feel like Hodic and I have had a lot of conversations about this, and then Snipedown too actually has joined in and chimed in with his opinion. But coming from an FGC background where it's a 1v1 environment, the only thing that a lot of players blame their misfortunes is either they're playing a worse character, or it's not a great stage, or they got counterpicked on the stage in a bad matchup. And it's really difficult when you're in a team-based environment, and it's easy to expel a lot of that blame away from you and not really leaning into your own faults and what you could do and what it takes to build something up as a team, to have that cohesion, to have that foundation. In my opinion, I feel like being able to keep that continuity really helps out teams in the long run if you get to see that lengthy team stick together.
Well, I think it is a very important message. We're going to have a little bit of a chat about that as well as we get into Game 4. But thank you, Vicky, for your thoughts joining Hodic. Thanks for your cast over these last few games. We'll see you in a bit. Jamerson here, man, on the mic, ready to get going. I guess I'll pass the baton to you. Is this just the natural state of affairs that the world is in, where people are just, always 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Or, do you like a lot of these decisions that we've seen in Apex and these roster swaps, especially lately?
It's a very unfortunate situation that a lot of our players find themselves in. So I completely understand where the roster swaps are coming from. But I mean, as a spectator, as someone just watching from the sidelines, it's been so hard to, wrap your head around all these movements. I've tried my best, but it's so difficult. And I get it. You want to secure that spot at Champs. Champs is the most important thing whatsoever here. But at some point, you just need to commit to a team. And it's really unfortunate that, this is happening to a lot of our rosters. Hopefully, though, with however many match days that we have left, along with regional finals, that, a lot of our teams that are struggling right now can find their footing. The KCP, for joining on board with them. And one thing we didn't note, by the way, Rain Day, I mean, you don't have to note it because this is, you know, not your first time casting E-District, but it's E-District at day. This is my second time casting E-District at day, and I love it. I love it. It's so nice and bright and cheery.
And it's clear. I mean, I don't know if it's because, you know, my eyesight is worsening as I'm getting older, but nighttime was just difficult to navigate in this map for me particularly. The aesthetic doesn't beat anything. That was I mean, nothing beats it. It was amazing. But when it comes to clarity, the daytime has certainly helped, just from a perspective of someone watching top down, watching from these POVs of these players and talking about the action. But I want to know, have you guys enjoyed the change? Have you wanted it reverted? I've seen thoughts both ways, but generally I think it's been a pretty positive, well-accepted change here on daytime. As E-District just is one glimpse of what happens seasonally as these maps change. They get different lighting, they get different updates. Apex is a live service game, so you're going to keep constantly seeing new and exciting things happening to all of our maps. Might even see a different map added into the rotation for Apex Legends Global Series. You'll have to find out and see. As Jamerson, our zone has gone northeast near Galleria, center of that area where DMG, Grow Gaming, and Rock Esports have already found space.
Yeah, a lot of people are expecting this one to pull more towards that Heights area right now. Rock Esports are a little bit split up in that regard, so they do have to be careful. DGAP moving in, CIMJ along with Oblivion. DMG were a little bit delayed on this rotate, and so they do have to take their time working their way on in. And as they do that, they've even got Unreal Nightmare there showing up behind them. One thing I want to keep a note on is as we now get into the second half, for some of our squads that we know like to get aggressive, Shopify Rebellion is going to be one of them. It's going to be a hard edge game for them. They've got a lot of teams ahead of them, 5-star, Virtus.pro, Fire Strays. And so this is where I kind of want to see them to right the ship. Again, 0 points after 3 games is something that we've almost never seen out of Shopify Rebellion. They do need to turn things around here. And so I want to see if they can turn up the aggression, but in a smart way for themselves. Team Liquid Alienware finding themselves in a few unfortunate circumstances in the last game. At the very least, have put up points, right? Very often we say, you know, 5 to 6 points per game. That's kind of what you're really shooting for, to at least keep yourself in the running. And that's what they've at least been able to do right here with 16 points. So here in the second half, there's still a huge opportunity for Team Liquid Alienware to turn things around.
And you can see a big AMP will create the space. We'll miss most of the damage though. Unreal Nightmare fine with that as they'll push forward and set up a rampart wall on either side, just trying to hold here. This is the main game of posturing that's going to take place in this area if you get here early. And that's exactly what they want. They see the Wraith creating that dimensional rift. And she's going to try to find a pop herself into a spot that the team can rotate in safely. Unreal Nightmare trying to stop it, realize it's just better to hold here and not worry about something we can't control.
That was a good call. Huntsman was watching their back. You saw Davis along with Rails keeping tabs of Masters of Evil rotating back, but you always have to watch your back, and in doing so, they note Virtus.pro here on the rotate, and VP have actually rotated right into Masters of Evil, so they got to be careful. They will port back, and now Unreal Nightmare find themselves in a very awkward situation. They do have the high ground here, but there's multiple threats that can jump on them as we join on board with 100 Thieves. They got Stallions on the other side of this fight right now. Verholst just backing away. Oh, Orin! I don't even know where that shot came from. Taking out Mav. KCP now in a 2v3.
And Cruel Buckle gonna have to go big. He hits one. Is it one and done, or he's got another one in the tank? He throws the fences out to buy some time, but here comes Jay to back him up. Mav is down, so the question is, do they posture and try to get the low? They go in, but they completely miss. And that's a big one from Jay. It's up to Cruel Buckle. He's got to reload the PK. I'm not sure. This is just a math problem now. He does some fancy fingers. Oh, but the Watson fences still leave him defenseless. And that is the end of Pioneers. It's a nice attempt from Cruel Buckle, but Mav going down early sealed their fate.
One of the big things there was the knockdown shields, right? I think he got felt a little bit safe playing behind the knockdown shields. Unfortunately, 2 of them were not his, and so they were able to drop that just in time. to give him that shot and secure that. Orin Esports taking out KCP. That is huge. KCP were sitting at second place with 31 points now. And now Orin Esports, who are our lobby leaders, have a huge opportunity now to try and grow this lead and take a win on the day.
I like Orin's aggressiveness here. You're feeling it. Keep it up. Charge rifle in the hands of Verhulst. Riot drill in the other hand. That's a dangerous combination. One of the best in North America. One of the best in the world. With a weapon in their hands. Phony's done a great job of taking two, I'm going to say it, what many people would say, rejects. IGL said, I don't want you. The two of the best IGLs in the game. Said, I'm going to find another person to team up with. And of course, there's more in the conversation there, a lot more. But the fact that they found each other, the fact that Phony found them, man, it's been something we've been wanting to see. The results of the experiment didn't quite happen, of course, in our midseason playoffs as the EMP comes through. Phony got sick there, but really Split 2 and Champs is where they want to make their big statement. They're getting ready for it. Jim Burton back in action with them as they get a little pressure, but they apply a little pressure of their own.
EMP from the other side here, but they answer it with that wrecking ball, forcing them back. The Riot drill keep them up. They haven't cleared this drone quite yet, so a lot of their positions have been given away. You can see Phony looking up, trying to spot that one out, but they get tagged from a distance on the other side of this one. 100 Thieves, though, have done enough to at least try and dissuade this push from 5-star. Now they're just waiting them out. 5-star are just eating the ring. 100 Thieves have plenty of space to play off of. Dark might be getting chased down by Verhulst here. You can see Awans goes for that peek out. Verhulst tags him, and now they finally find that drone and clear that one out. The 5-star might be able to creep in from the low ground right underneath them. So 100 Thieves threw a lot at this one, but luckily for them, they should have time to get a lot of their cooldowns back. You can see, yeah, he's already at 40% with that wrecking ball for himself, and it does look like 5-star trying to back away, but no, Verhulst will not allow it whatsoever, and they secure the thirst at the very least. And for 5-star, I mean, this is almost an unrecoverable position because they have multiple teams actually trying to gatekeep them right now. Rain, it's not just 100 Thieves, it's also Fire Strays, just a little bit more towards their northwest that are keeping an eye on them there. So I don't know how much longer they'll be able to survive for. We'll see how many more meds they have left, but they are getting tagged on that slide down.
Always going to be one of the difficult things to navigate when you see a team competing for that spot with you. You're mirroring them. You have to engage. You don't want to engage. They happen to be taking the spot that you want to take on the opposite side, and you know that it's better if you didn't have to deal with them. But there's a part of you that knows if you don't deal with them, it's going to be worse later on when you really need to. And so that's what these engagements are. 100 Thieves not shying away from it, but unfortunately for Awans, it does not go their way. And Fire Strays clean up a little bit of the action that 100 Thieves kicked off by taking down Dark Knight.
And now things have settled down just a bit. We had a lot of early action there on the northern side. A lot of teams trying to rotate there, but we have a pull now over towards Uptown. We've even got the Mythic Bin spawning over there. I think Orin might be the best in position to try and secure that for themselves. Orin Esports, they're definitely getting the best of all the spoils right now. Shopify Rebellion finally getting their first point on the board here in map number 4. But again, this is a squad that is looking for these isolated fights. They've got DMG on the other side of this one. Zainu clearing out a fence, and oh my goodness, Chaos Feelings caught looking the other way. EMP now to back things up and slow them down, and he's down to 1 HP. Shopify Rebellion, this is the team fight that we're looking for. Picking apart team slowly but surely. They need to pick up the rest of DMG. They need to do it fast. There are a few teams looking for the third party right now, and with future streams going down, Shopify Rebellion pick up 2 more points there, and maybe shortly they'll be able to pick up the third. No, they're gonna go ahead and slow things down just a bit. Unreal Nightmare, we're even keeping an eye on this one. Huntsman got instantly tagged. It looked like VP came in from the other side of this one. And so now Shopify Rebellion, they've got a really good understanding of what's going on around them. Multiple third-party opportunities. And here it is, Orin securing that Kraber for themselves, all the gold weapons. This is huge for them. Orin Esports have already a great position down there on the south side. They can try and wrap around up through NIP, through THUGGETS. And the Kraber is definitely going to be the key to try and punch through a lot of those defenses there. 400 Thieves, though, they're still dealing with this north side. In time, too. They're moving here with about 40 seconds left to go before the ring closes. They have multiple teams in their way. We mentioned, of course, Strays were off to their west beforehand, but they were able to cut them off. And now Grow Gaming looking to gatekeep here on the northwest side.
Meanwhile, Stallions eliminated. They will go down. That's Alberlelli's iteration of that. Naughty and Shuby. Another nice riot drill from Verholz. Working on 600 damage, trying to get up to 1K. He'll do a little more work with one of those grenades, and now it's up to him to take down Crook. One big shot, and not yet another enemy. Well, he's going to go down easy. At least Cersei will follow, and that's Fire Strays out for the count. So both teams, Stallions and Fire Strays, fall within about 30 seconds of each other, not giving us any indication of which team has benefited from the trade or the shakeup of the rosters so far. But maybe the story that we need to be paying attention to is Shopify Rebellion. There's a little bit of an energy in the way that they're fighting, some synergy, some to me, it's like they've got a velocity to the way that they're attacking these fights, and that's a dangerous Shopify Rebellion, Jamerson. If they get in motion, it's hard to stop them.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping to see the Sparrow swap off for them, just to have a little bit more firepower, a lot more movement for that composition to utilize. But they haven't gone for it quite yet with the Watson still in play. Oh, Verholz just took a little bit too long there. Keon finds that knock. They will be able to secure that first as well onto 100 Thieves, who have been doing a really good job throughout the set so far. I think one of the few mistakes that we've seen out of them. And, you know, that's great. I mean, 4 maps in, that's one of the first mistakes that we see out of you. That's still a good sign, ultimately, for them. Right now, looks like Grow Gaming are trying to turn the screws on them, trying to find an angle. Just don't want to overcommit onto this quite yet. Orin, we were talking about them securing that mythic bin and utilizing the tools there to try and punch their way through all of these teams. Team Liquid, Alienware caught up in a huge scramble. Multiple teams over there at Heights right now. We've got DGAP even getting involved, CIMJ, Team Inferno, Masters of Evil possibly to rotate up here. Throughout all of this, though, VP end up going down, bringing us now down to 13 squads. EMP onto Team Liquid Alienware, but no pushes quite yet. Yanya on an off angle, keeping tabs on CIMJ right now, who are rotating right into the Masters of Evil.
DGAP bringing in James Fearless, so getting their squad back up to a 3. And I think 100 Thieves have been able to at least to get the banner. I'm not sure they're going to be able to survive much. No, they went down at 15, so that will spell the end of them. Liquid Alienware, though, another team who we've been waiting. When's the wake-up call going to happen? They missed the first one. They can blame it on the hotel. They missed the second one. Blame it on the cell phone. Didn't go off. Kept it on Do Not Disturb. But this is the final wake-up call. They've got to get there. They are close to, without the performances they need, not qualifying for champs. They're one of our most storied teams here in North America, and Orin Esports, they could care less. Grabbing their teammates back, leading the pack, 45 points. Another win here would certainly put them in contention for a win on the day, but a lot to be done, and Rock Esports knows it. Playing Deeds with the Catalyst. He did so well with this Newcastle earlier on, but now it's Deeds jumping in with the EVA 8. One of the few we're seeing in this lobby. A riot drill from underneath as well from Vaxlon. This is great play and rotation, and Masters of Evil are no more.
Usually you drill down. They drilled right up.
Yeah, I never thought about drilling up.
Yeah. Good awareness at the very least, because honestly, yeah, I don't think you often think, yeah, drill up. Drill up. But that was excellent usage. I also liked how they were trading out players, right? As soon as someone needs to reload, they send someone else on up. Ooh, THUGGETS. It's going to be Team Liquid Alienware catching Orin now, rotating back on in. Now, THUGGETS finding an angle. Gonna be McLovin. Drop down low. THUGGETS have to back away. Reset themselves, but Din ends up getting caught out. He's taken out. Now it's all of the Dan Mantic here. Try and keep his team alive. It's Unreal Nightmares. It's NIP right above them, and things are looking difficult. THUGGETS will get knocked out. NIP now have to try and traverse across this. They've got about 30 seconds before the zone closes in, but you can see Unreal Nightmare want to try and make things difficult for them.
Yeah,
but Unreal Nightmare will just go ahead and slow things down.
They've played very, very well. I mean, definitely been a nuisance. I'm a little surprised that they didn't full commit onto the NIP push when you're talking about THUGGETS. Dan Mantic went 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and it got both of their teammates caught. And so that's not going to work out. NIP just had a better position. And here it is again, Unreal Nightmare this time. Are they going to commit? I think they're going to full swing this. But McLovin responds. My goodness, stop that man from Hawaii. He's not actually from Hawaii, but you know the joke. NIP taken down. And another one, Oren goes down. That's the leader of the lobby. Now Team Liquid Alienware on the move. Here in 9th place, looking to add a few more to the tally.
They've got Oblivion ahead of them right now. And so, yeah, their main tool to get past this is going to be this Wraith portal. As they get past, we'll go ahead and get past these WAP defenses. And oh no, he's stuck. Defensive bombardment down as well. They have plenty of time to get back on in. Jaguars gets through that port, throws down that bubble for themselves, but they've got to go ahead and get inside of a building as soon as possible. Nizo ends up falling, so they have to back up through the port once more. Yanya is taking a lot of damage here, and you can see Oblivion spot them out. Yanya trying to delay things for as long as possible. They're on the cusp of securing a little bit more placement points for themselves, but Team Liquid Alienware will ultimately fall now. It's going to be DGAP and Oblivion here on the southeast side, but on the north, we got Grow, we got Rock, and we had Shopify Rebellion. But Grow Esports, Grow Gaming will go ahead and finish them off, stopping the momentum of Shopify Rebellion. We're looking to turn things around here in game number 4, but it's Grow Gaming now with an opportunity to catch up with the rest of the lobby. They are currently sitting in 5th place. Oblivion right behind them in 6th with 30 points. And they've been quietly successful throughout the day for Oblivion. We've seen them from here, here and there. And we've been seeing them being able to pick up a lot of kill points. But it just hasn't been a huge performance out of them quite yet.
Well, I think a win here would change that, don't you? Certainly, it would kind of put them into a good position to be talked about a lot more, and that's kind of what you want. Stay in position. Grow Gaming, just like I saw with Furia. I don't know if it's Keon. I don't know if it's dropped. I don't know if it's Nox. It might be the combination of all 3 of these. I highlighted the experience, and yet again, they find themselves in a top 5 situation. Quietly, but a little bit more with a few thunderous moments. They've made themselves known, and that is where Grow Gaming have a chance to take it to the next level. 35 points, 33 points to their name. First place in the lobby, 47. That's Oren. They are out. So every point won here, every point earned gets them closer and closer to leading the lobby.
That is so scary. When you're Gibraltar, you throw down your bubble, you see a riot drill there, you're like, okay, when does the Maggie Ball come? Well, not quite yet for Oblivion. And these players can just wait it out. They've got the position. You can see Noct and the rest of Grow Gaming trying to find the angle onto them. But they do themselves have to be careful. Unreal Nightmares will be the next team to fall. Now this leaves us with 5 teams remaining here. And it might be 4 in just a moment. Grow doing a great job from this high ground position. But throughout all of this, DGAP, Team Inferno, they're waiting around on the edges for basically the victor of this fight, and then to clean up with the third party. Oblivion ends up falling. Now we're coming down to our final 4.
This is unbelievable from Grow Gaming. I mean, the shots that they're hitting, you look at the impact they have had on this game, it's unbelievable. They're the reason 100 Thieves lost Verholz in the beginning on that rotation. The shots from the scout, we got to see them firsthand. Noct has 8 kills already, and Keon and Dropped are firing on all cylinders. They've got the high ground. They've forced Rock to go ahead and make a rotation towards what will be DGAP, and I think this is Grow Gaming, who have found a lightning in a bottle and are trying to capitalize on it. Jamerson dropped here with the PK, waiting for the Catalyst Dark Veil to fall. Can he find the light here on James Fearless? Oh, certainly. It looks like it should be Grow Gaming with the victory, but they're going to have to finish a couple of these PK shots to do it, and that'll be no problem, they say, as Keon knocked and dropped. Find the synergy. They find a win.
Yeah, it was just a matter of time for this squad. Again, when you come in with one of the best anchors in Apex Legends, with Keon there, who just already understands his role and what he needs to do, it's very easy for Dropped at that point to kind of lead the team when it comes to a lot of these messier late game engagements, right? Keon just understands ultimately what he has to do. You can see the full faith that Noct puts into his anchor. He's able to go so aggressive there and know when the swap out comes in. And so that's why he was able to take that position. When Rock was making that push, instead of waiting for the trades, Noct gets very aggressive in there to try and pick up the kill points for Grow Gaming. And honestly, it comes down to the experience across this squad that allows that to happen.
And you look at that positioning across the entire game. High ground to high ground to high ground. They were always in the best spot every game. I said they captured a little lightning in the bottle. It's a big win, 27 points. I think that's going to be enough to jump them into first place. Remember, they had 33. They were in whatever position they were at that time, but first place was 47, so it was only 14 points away. I think they've done enough here with the win to go into first. But look at this performance from Rock Esports as well and DGAP. I felt like Rock, Jamerson, again, really solid team, and they showed it there as well. That's a lot of kills between them.
Yeah, and what I'm really looking forward to is just the series results at this point, because like you had mentioned, there's just so much volatility on the leaderboard right now. So many different winners across the day that it is extremely close. 1 point, Rain Day, separating Grow Gaming and Orin Esports right now. But again, they're not even that far ahead. At this point, we saw a massive lead, almost something, 20 points in EMEA from first to second place. But here, it's still anyone's game with 2 games left to go.
Virtus.pro, Shopify, Rebellion. These are teams that we don't expect to see in last place and only with 7 points after 4 games played. But things have not gone their way. If any teams can bounce back, though, we expect to see it from them. And also, Orin Esports, can they keep this up even after the big game from Grow Gaming? Still in first place after 4.
A bit of a reset on the health. Seeking a medkit here is mental. Vixeria needs to find his opponent, but he's playing defensive.
Yeah, Dexter gets the full reset. I don't like Vixeria letting that happen. And Gen G, don't worry about it though. It's the PK and Team Mango. They're left and side. So Zicky now moving in. The nade's going crazy. Gen G looking good once again.
Gen G are absolutely cleaning house here, as you say, but remarkable team. Still the full trio need to hit the go button. They go too late. It looks like the fight's already been cleaned up. Gen G are ready for a Zicky falls, but Dexter responds, and Dexter with the R9. Side off this ring, trying to survive at the moment. Gen G are going to go out. Somehow they take down Limo. Now they have to go out into the open. Rolling Thunder coming down. I think you might be right, Stoney. This might be Gen G taking it.
They look so good right now. The G7, the PK. There's only one man left. What is Esports? Wait as well for them to move on into 5 years. Looking really good at the moment. But D-Cross Gaming also 16 kills in this game.
And that crypto drone is going to be everything. If they can get an EMP off, that is going to... As we can see, DCG going in. Peacekeeper comes out, and DCG on the high ground, smoke everyone out, and it looks like Gen G are going to take this one.
Man, he has 300 damage and 2 R9 guns in his sleeve. Gen G looks so good right now, but they've overextended a little bit here. Why are they not fighting each other, the other teams? And they're going to lose again. Renten get the win. Right here, but Buffer does help the cause for Gen G to somehow stay alive. Oh my God! What is going on? Buffer with a beautiful clutch. Somehow Gen G is still alive here, and this is going to be an easy Silly Billy's victory in game number 6. Again, Renten get the win.
Red Bull is the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
The competition is tightening up right now. 4 games down, 2 more to go. I'm back here with Jamerson, and Jamerson, we just got to see Grow Gaming pop off 15 KP going in favor for Grow Gaming, and they are trailing right behind Orange Esports.
Yeah, again, it's another one of the rosters here in America where you know the potential is there for them to play like this. It's just, we need to see that consistency. We need to see them be able to play like this at all times. And that's the kind of competition that we have here in Americas right now. And I think that also might be one of the contributing factors when we're seeing the variance in play. This is just because at any point, so many of our teams here in the Americas can pop off like this.
Yeah, talk about, by the way, timing on making sure that that EMP was not going to be deployed there, too. You guys were able to take us through this final zone amazingly, Jamerson, between you guys and Rain Day. And Grow Gaming, though, with knocked up on high ground and not giving up this space, it's about putting in the pressure, because sometimes in a zone like this, especially when there's a catalyst that you have to worry about, just making sure you know where everybody is at all times, where you're not overextending, because you still want to get the dub, because it's still very winnable. Here on E District, there's so much cover you can work off of, and it was a beautiful, patient, cathartic play for Grow Gaming to just move up and then take onto the roof. And with these PK shots, it's the patient play. Better patient, and you know, better late than never, as I always say, Jamerson, when it comes to trying to take these dubs. Yeah, and in that team fight, once again, you got to see like the role of the anchor, what they really do bring to the team, right? Swapping out when your entry gets low and being there just in time to make sure you're covering the retreat and stuff like that. That's why Noct was able to play on that rooftop despite having two teams below him and play that opportunistically, picking up a lot more kill points than they would have otherwise gotten if they had just waited to 3P. Instead, they got in the middle of that fight because of the strength of the anchor and the position that they had. So it's great to see that they were able to really take advantage of that kind of situation. And it's crazy, too, because we saw, I believe, an equal pick between Watson and Wraith. And as we now move on to game number 5, we're still here on E-District for our next 2 games to finalize our 6-match series for today's Groups B versus C here in Americas. And no more Watson. That makes me wonder, though, are we going to continuously see the amount of cryptos that we have seen thus far? Because while we did have that 17-17 split between Wraith and Watson, we have 15 cryptos in the lobby.
Yeah, I think importantly, especially here for the Americas region, is that you do have so many deadly, just team fighting duos, right? When it's something like Dropped and Noct being able to move in the way that they did, having a crypto on the backside to give you that extra just eye in the sky. It's very reminiscent of how Alliance was playing throughout a large majority of split number 1, right? Effect and Lucky basically playing their own game while Hawkes is just in the back with his crypto drone telling them where any threat might be coming in from. And we have a lot of that here. They just haven't been able to find the kind of same synergy playing along with a crypto in their composition. But I think as the split goes on, as we get closer towards that final day, we will see a lot more teams really sink that in.
We had a lot of theories going into what we may actually see, because not only with the different map layouts that we've had rotating in for this week's games, but the way that crypto has now also integrated itself differently compared to what we had seen in EMEA. Yeah, we had some cryptos, but it was a lot of counterplays that it was utilized for. And now seeing the inclusion of Rampart going into this lobby, again, Catalyst, it may not destroy the Catalyst wall with an EMP, but it does destroy those barricaded doors. And when you're coexisting with so many teams on E-District, looking at where that zone's pulling, there's going to be a lot of potential here for those teams that are rocking that crypto to utilize the EMP to get rid of the damage amp barriers, not the entire barrier, but at least the window that the Ramparts provide, as well as those barricaded doors that the Catalyst does.
Yeah, we still have a few Gibraltars in the lobby, Masters of Evil, 100 Thieves still running that. And so this is going to be probably the hardest games for them to try and play that Gibraltar. Oh, even Team Liquid Alienware have that. So with so many cryptos in play, this is going to be probably some of the more difficult games for those 3 squads right now. We are getting a very Western pull this time around, and so the ring is treating us to a good tour of E-District here. You can see teams have already moved in. Unreal Nightmare, they have been so good throughout the vast majority of this split, being able to play priority of zone, getting into center zone right now. They have converted on that one pretty well throughout our series today, especially on Stormpoint. We saw a lot of rings getting fairly close to them. They did have, I believe, options to go for the Jibby rotates as well with the Trident and get themselves into position for that. And so that's why they find themselves currently here. 3rd place, 35 points, well within reach of our 1st and 2nd place teams. I think only trailing by about 10 to 12 points.
Meanwhile, teams like Shopify here are, only at 7 points throughout the course of the day, and now maybe trying to find their footing on a different map here after finding 4 KP or so footing that last game. But the teams have already found some safety here. You could hear that Sheila singing over across from where we're currently seeing Huntsman, and other teams now trying to coexist up by that one hill though that leads up to the street on the high ground. We've seen this circle sometimes pull towards that open building to the left side of that street. So see maybe if that's going to be the direction of where that zone ends up pulling towards, while Rock Esports already with their pings are also trying to plan ahead with their rotate with Saucerer. The iPad kid just scanning up ahead just to make sure their pathing is safe and just being able to get that survey beacon.
Yeah, the survey beacons are probably the most important thing here. I don't think, too many teams are expecting this one to go down to Neon. I think, yeah, just like you had mentioned, that ring pulling over to the street side is more than likely where this is going to go. And everyone has put basically their faith in their ring calls on this one. So it is going to come down to those survey beacons, trying to find any empty spots inside the zone, or if you have a possibility of rotating in late on a slow side of the zone. So that's going to be crucial for them. So I think they are going to stick around on the edges here and try to find a few more scans before they go on in. For Shopify Rebellion, though, they are rotating here on the slow side. They have the option to try and maybe take a push fight with NIP. They're getting tagged from behind for now. It's NIP actually taking the shots up on them.
I love how Koifa was so ready with it, by the way. Also, I love the play of words with his in-game gamer tag, too. Definitely looks a little bit like Jason as 5-star Dark. If it isn't on the altar, you could frag out here on the Wraith. We talk about definitive roles, while the catwall has been called in just to help restabilize here to prevent the third parties from pushing in, because there's an Evil Harvester right to their backs, and the block is going to get hot.
Yeah, they took a really clean fight there, so I don't think they need to worry about anyone else coming in for the third party. So utilizing the cat wall so early on is fine. They'll have plenty of time here. Things will now settle down around City Hall area. We do have Stallions. We've got DMG as well on board with NIP, which I kind of lost them right now. Okay, they are on the western side of the zone right now. Sorry, excuse me. They got Shopify Rebellion that they're actually keeping an eye on the other side of this one.
Yeah, there's so many teams literally piled up here. I don't even blame you, Jamerson, with the fact that Shopify are literally right next to them. So his 5-star VP are trying to make an appearance, as well as Masters of Evil. And it doesn't stop there, right? Fire's also right here too. DMG do get to respawn, though. 2 of those teammates, hopefully, able to see if they can find their footing in that next zone with how many teams have already beaten them to the curve. And it's going to be some tight chokes to get around unless you have an evac tower on the north side of New Square, as we've seen other teams try to use. CIMJ also finding some safety from inside of this building. One of the teams that are on the outskirts of that ring console that they want to prioritize to see where they want to find themselves. But with the Rampart, I don't expect them to be moving anytime soon unless they find where that next circle is going to be.
Yeah, they decided to Wraith portal out, and I think that's a good call. They had Oran Esports coming up from behind them. They did not want to get sandwiched in, but now they have to be aware. They've lost track of a lot of teams in the area. They haven't been able to scan in quite a bit. They do get noticed that Team Liquid Lunar were just off to their eastern side, get tagged down. Now they're actually rotating into Pioneers. I think they might have just been scanned by Crypto Drone, possibly. And now this is actually kind of awkward for KCP. They have 1 player trailing behind and 2 players up ahead, currently inside of Blossom. So that third Pioneers player has to be careful here in the back, and that is, yeah, Jay bringing up the rear. CIMJ, we're not able to move into position to cut him off, and so Pioneers will be safe for now.
Good on Pioneers to at least play patiently and isolated over on the complete west side, where there is that Evil Harvester and still a survey beacon if they haven't been able to access that already. But it's their presence that they just want to be able to oppress the teams that may want to have that information. Looking at that next zone pool, though, if they don't have that information, they want to start moving soon, because VP are looking to gatekeep them, and they are one of the teams with the Ramparts too.
Yeah, Pioneers, though, will be able to hit that scan with the drone, and they'll know where VP is. They actually spot out one by himself currently, forcing out, I believe that was probably the Wraith queue to get back into safety. So Pioneers kind of brute force their way on in, but they have a lot of resistance. NIP, Shopify Rebellion, VP all set up here on the western side, and all 3 of those teams are immense threats for Pioneers. They have to be careful here. Fortunately, the survey scan doesn't tell you what teams are on the other side of this one, just which player, or how many players there are there.
That radius here with a crypto drone just flying around. I'm just trying to get rid of that with the other crypto, just trying to get information on where KCP is. We could assume that's probably VP here, or it could be Shopify, who are over to their north side. It's crypto galore in this specific game, honestly. The sky is congested and slowing things down, just waiting to see where that next zone pool is going to be. Maybe the smartest thing KCP could opt to do here, considering they don't have that ring console information.
Yeah, CIMJ have moved into position. They'll probably be able to deny the next scan for them with how long they're delaying this rotate in. CIMJ should also note all the shots that they're hearing off to their east. For Oran Esports, though, right now, again, this is the team currently leading 47 points. They just want to make sure that they don't go down early. We still have 20 teams alive here. With Ring 2 closing in, and so they are not trying to brute force anything whatsoever. They've got Oblivion ahead of them, controlling that choke right now. THUGGETS in the choke beyond that as well, and so they do need to come up with a game plan here. They'll have option to hit, of course, the survey beacon along with the map scan, then find a way on in for NIP. They're one of the teams that were on that north side. And it looks like they do have a relatively safe position. Plenty of coverage around here on the viaduct or aqueduct. I don't know what these are called. The canals? There's so many different names for that.
Yeah, canals lake. I mean, technically not a lake. I feel like that's kind of more like Storm Point's chick. But yeah, I guess like canals here from what you've been saying with these side buildings too, with these isolated zip lines. But there's also so much of these walls where it would have been nice if you would have had an altar going into this. But we had said goodbye to altar very early on within our series. Game number 3, after that, no more altar. And with more teams now making their rotate outside of City Hall, you can hear it in the distance. Stallion's team, Inferno, Pyjamas being one of the teams to rock the Seer, by the way, too. If everyone wondering at home, where's Seer been? Seer's been trying to run through my lobbies. Second most picked legend right behind Ash, who at one point wasn't number 1. She was like number 2 right behind Seer. And it's because right now in these type of lobbies, you have to make the decision between trying to play optimally for the very end game. You want to bunker down here if you can, and it's even better if you have a crypto drone being able to get these scans rather than having to forcibly overcommit with a Seer trying to get a survey beacon.
Yeah, for EMEA, we saw, I think, something like 10 Seers, I think, by game number 6. And it's just, you know, a lot of buffs came in, but I think it's a testament to the strength of our very strong early legends, of the Watsons, of the Altars, of the Caustics. And so you can't deny the strength that they play, particularly starting off on Storm Point, the Newcastle as well. This is going to be nice for 100 Thieves, being able to pick up this mythic bin for themselves. They have a lot of this side of the zone also free for themselves. I believe it's THUGGETS playing that choke point just off to the left of them, and not too many other teams actually rotating here on the eastern side. So 100 Thieves might be able to just walk up to that choke for free, possibly take a fight up against THUGGETS, or, you know, wait for a team to try and work their way through that choke and then coming for the 3Ps. So for 100 Thieves, who have been playing extremely cautiously, extremely patient throughout the vast majority of the day, this is another game where they can capitalize off of that slower play.
And I like the different pace too, right? You've integrated Gen coming right back into fruition with the rest of this team, trying to showcase their form, and KCP already involved in another fight, it looks like, with Map having the high ground. Looking down, it was CIMJ that were not only forced down, it looks like one member of CIMJ may still be on the high ground. It looked like that crypto as Map slides in PK shots as KCP lose out on their crypto up on high ground. So it was a slight trade, but way more in favor of KCP to get 2.
Yeah, we'll see if the Pioneers can survive that one. For 100 Thieves, though, they waited for DGAP actually to come in for the rotate here on the eastern side and pounce right on top of them. And that's a clean fight for 100 Thieves. We were talking about how good of a position they currently had. Zone is pulling down towards them, and now a lot of this eastern edge is getting cleared out. We do have a few teams still hovering on the northeast side, but for the most part, 100 Thieves have done a great job of just paring that one down. For VP, though, they've got Pioneers, they've got Unreal Nightmares, so many threats, CIMJ behind them, and VP just could not withstand the pressure. There was just too many teams around in the area. For Pioneers, though, they have not been able to recover Jay quite yet. Haven't been able to get the res. Mav might go down to the ring here, and I don't think Cruel Buckle can even retrieve him. Very unfortunate for KCP, almost an unforced error.
Was it worth it? Was it worth it? That was almost diabolical. The way he was camping out the other side of that Wraith portal, he knew he was going to take it anyways, but it cost him getting knocked by the ring. He didn't have enough time to fully restabilize, even though he was able to at least get that 1 KP. As he walks away, we're going to have to see if they're going to try to reset here, as now more teams, Team Liquid. In a zone like this, we know that there's so much space you could just coexist with other teams here, and with the ramparts and these walls, it gets even better. That's why you're seeing the Wraith come through to help out with more of these rotations, while the Crypto Drones just help scout ahead. And then you talk about spacing when it comes to those few Gibbies that are still in this lobby. Looking at this next zone pool, though, is crazy. Look how scattered everybody is right now, because these teams did not have access to a ring console, minus here, in this case, Rock, who are right next to the City Hall ring console, but they were also being looked at a Team Inferno behind those Rampart amp walls.
Yeah, on the south side, though, they had a fair good idea of where this ring was going to pull down. But man, that pileup of teams on the northern edge, the fact that we still have 17 teams still alive in this ring means absolute chaos is about to break down here on the north side of the zone. Team Liquid Alienware tried to port past Orin Esports, but unfortunately for them, a lot of teams were able to make it there beforehand. CIMJ, we saw, I believe, using a port to get underneath Unreal Nightmares right now. So currently, we got 3 teams stacked up. Rock Esports, though, trying to take this fight up against Team Inferno right now. They've done some decent damage to Exotica. The heal is there. They don't have the killing blow quite yet, and they're being slowed down by a lot of these nades, and time's starting to run out. Zone is closing in on them, and they still have multiple teams ahead of them. Grow Gaming is going to look to try and gatekeep them throughout all that. A nice knock and the finish onto Exotica. Rock Esports starting to punch away into the zone right now. We'll see if they get gate kept or if they find a nice rotation in.
I like to call it at least take that fight, though. They had to make sure that they can at least eliminate a team that's going to inevitably come through from behind them. And with so many other teams waiting to gatekeep, that's one less threat, but it's still going to be incredibly difficult. Let's see if they safely make it into that next zone with it closing in right behind them with a beautiful nade here. Shopify Rebellion holding both angles of this fence line. Zainu ready to blow there with the PK, making sure that McLovin cannot retaliate. Kuriv incredibly low. Vayne only has that blue Evo shield, and Zainu is going to be able to back away. Rock Esports do not get to go through that rotate as they try to wrap around. They get eliminated here too. Master of Evil, DMG, were trying to gatekeep them originally.
Yeah, Shopify Rebellion, again, trying to recover. Honestly, I don't know of a better word than disastrous day for them. Starting off with the first 3 maps, 0 points whatsoever. Picked up, I think, 6 or 7 points in game number 4. But now they need 2 really big games in a row just to try and salvage the day at the very least for themselves. Shopify Rebellion, we know that this is a squad that's been adjusting to the new roster and everything moving forward. So this is going to be a hard day to bounce back from, but it looks like they are still keeping their head down. They are still trying their best. For Oblivion, this is a squad that has been fairly consistent across the day. They've been able to secure themselves into top positions over and over again. They are in position to have another one of those games. 100 Thieves peeking on out, dishing out so much damage onto Grow. That's dropped falling, leaving only knocked left 100 Thieves. Doing a great job here on the northern side of the map. Pioneers end up falling here. And 100 Thieves now have actually a pretty decent rotate into the next zone as Grow Gaming will get knocked out.
Now, that was a disgusting bubble placement. That was crazy. Being able to have it just off the slight lip so you could still be able to shoot at the team right below. Crazy work that we're seeing as Orin Esports with a triple take in Huntsman's hands get the knock onto the rampart, and this is detrimental with how tight right now the overall leaderboards are looking. Orin Esports hold the lead, but not by very much. It's a 2-point difference between themselves and Grow Gaming, and it's only up to Keepstar to stay alive.
12 teams still remaining. Maybe he gets another placement point for the squad. 11 now as THUGGETS end up falling here. So yeah, the ratting coming out from Keepstar could be huge. Jaguars was caught there, stuck on the wall, but Keepstar was not able to get that knock. Jaguar is still trying his best to heal up here. Very difficult spot. Team Liquid Alienware calling back the rest of his squad. Don't know if they realize that it's just the solo, but Keepstar is getting chased down. NIP end up falling along with Oblivion. 100 Thieves clearing out this northern end. DMG down to just one player remaining. Never mind. Phony will clear that up, and now he's the kill leader in the lobby. This is a huge game for 100 Thieves. They've had some decent ones. They need this big win.
Phony Gibby is going crazy right now. Hopefully he's going to be able to at least pop a med kit because it's very risky to try to take that zip line right now with the amount of teams that have them in their line of sights from down below the other side of that bridge. Liquid Alienware looking at this other team, and you talked about them just retreating back to Hodic was isolated as the rest of the team Liquid Alienware teammates were just trying to split hold a different angle. Give some harassment down onto 100 Thieves who are still trying to creep up from that bridge. And Unreal Nightmare, this is the area we were talking about earlier on before, Jamerson, where there's a lot of buildings that coexist, and even through the cat wall, you know where they're hiding, you know what corner they're stuck in, still trying to clear off that team. And Unreal Nightmare with Davis still with Blue Evil Shield is going to be able to get that information and a crypto EMP.
Yeah. Comes out, I think 2 members of Liquid Alienware might have been hit, but here's CIMJ that were playing underneath them coming out. Rails has that set up, but you can see the top down coming out from Team Liquid Alienware, picking up a knock, a second one as well. Unreal Nightmare now just down to Davis Wade, trying his best to survive, but he runs into 3 members of CIMJ. Unreal Nightmare will fall. Team Liquid Alienware holding on to the center of the map. We got Shopify Rebellion, CIMJ, and even one lone member of 100 Thieves still alive.
After they were just popping off too, it was very difficult for them to try to get back up onto the high ground without getting harassed by multiple teams. And Verholst is just staring down the barrel at Team Liquid Alienware. Do they know that he is a solo? No matter what, they can't even put their attention onto only Verholst when there's a fight happening right at their feet for the teams that do want to get onto high ground.
Shopify Rebellion get wiped by CIMJ. That leaves CIMJ, along with Team Liquid Alienware, Verholst trying his best to survive, but now it's going to be a clean 3v3. The battle lines are drawn, but it's Team Liquid Alienware with the high ground, and they are dishing out the damage. Team Liquid Alienware. We've been waiting for this turnaround in the day for them, and they finally execute on it, getting the Game 5 win.
They needed it desperately. We keep hinting at it for a reason. They're one of the teams on cusp, perhaps maybe not qualifying with enough championship points, so they need everything that they can get. And this is the Team Liquid that we know they're trying to claw their way back into recognition, into the form that we know Team Liquid has been at before. But as you heard Hotsick in the interview, it's hard right now. Like, this is probably the hardest we've ever seen high-level Apex stand in terms of weapon meta, legend meta, making the adjustments you have to do with the different maps. And Liquid Alienware, they take the dub for game number 5.
Again, this year has been, like Hodson said, one of the hardest years of professional Apex Legends, right? You've got the Legend Band system coming in, you have all these new maps coming in, and then huge shifts in the weapon meta, the overall composition meta. It has been one of the hardest metas and one of the hardest years overall for our teams to adjust to, because again, we keep throwing more things at them as we go through these splits.
Yeah, right. It's just always back to back, but it's about who can stay up on top and eliminate that RNG factor in being able to stay consistent. As we take a look at our top 3 teams from our last game here, Liquid, they win the game with 7 KP to their name. CIMJ too, playing up that low ground. They may have not gotten the dub, but they got some 7 KP themselves, and it was 100 Thieves. We saw Phony fragging out on the Gibby, 5 KP just for him alone, but a total of 11 KP with 3rd place finish thanks to Verholst.
Yeah, and it's kind of great seeing, we talked about it, of course, at the top of the show, but the Gibraltar is still coming in huge. And this is, what, maybe 4 games now where we see multiple Gibraltars in the late game. And so we weren't expecting a Gibraltar ban, but we were expecting, you know, less usefulness for that specific character as time went on. But I'm glad to see that teams are sticking with it. They still see the value of it, and it has translated into success for a lot of them.
Yeah, it's not just Stormpoint, right? It's not just the Trident plays too. It's obviously being shown that it could be utilized on E-District. And thanks to that too, and with some heavy KP, 100 Thieves now find themselves within the top 3. And it is crazy to see that 1st place is only holding that spot with 51 points, with basically, what, 3-point difference between themselves and even 100 Thieves. But we will find out who will come out on top with our last game coming to you on the other side of this break.
Need a breather?
the Wally. Should I slow down?
Ah, now that's a work of art right there.
Of course you think that. You've got one bloody eye.
Uh-oh. Just walk it off. Yeah, you'll be all right. Oh, guess not.
Putting my heart out there.
Wrecking ball's fired up, literally, cuz.
Some days it's just too easy.
Finally. Thought it'd never shut up.
Well, funny thing about a wild card, they always turn up again.
Welcome back, everyone. 5 games down, and we have just breezed through an amazing day of ALGS here in the Americas. We got one more game to go on E-District, and it's pretty knit tight if you look at the teams and how they're separated by just a mere measly few points.
Yeah, we saw in EMEA, it was pretty clear who was going to win the day. This time around, though, it's still so many squads that can catch up. And so it is not set in stone. It is definitely written water above all else about who's going to come out on top. I mean, there was even a chance in that late game for Unreal Nightmare to try and walk away with this one. Verhulst, though, kind of threw a wrench in the spanners, made things a little bit more difficult for Team Liquid Alienware than they would have liked. But you can see that they were still calm and collected. They had the positional advantage here. So Team Liquid Alienware did everything right in this game.
Yeah, and it was up to Verhulst to at least survive for as long as possible. It wasn't like Verhulst was going to climb up on top there and just fully do a 1v3 versus a whole team that not only has height, but has all PKs, and that's the race factor too when it comes to the weapon meta. You try to take some more of these individual fights. You could clutch out at home with your R9s, cars, and 1-clips, but that's why Verhulst jumps in and he just heats himself because at least they got 3rd place. It was about the placement to capitalize off that KP and just allow Liquid Alienware to walk in with that dub.
Yeah, just that defensive bombardment at the end just to finish things all off. And they still have the Gibraltar available for themselves. The Rampart is still there as well. So they'll have that extremely defensive setup for themselves, along with the Mad Maggie if they want to continue to play off of that. So again, the tools are still available for them. Not having the crypto, a lot of these teams now have to find a way to flex. And it's been an awkward day of transition for a lot of our teams. So I don't know what they're going to go with having this crypto ban coming in here in game number 6.
Yeah, let's talk about it, actually, because we have VP sitting in dead last right now with only 3 points, something I was not expecting going into today's map rotation. And now we only have one more game to go. Shopify sitting in 15th, Stallions in 17th here. And then looking on the other half, a lot of these teams honestly sponging up most of these points going into E-District, which has been very enjoyable considering that the survivability of E-District with the amount of teams you could get in a final zone is insane. So you get to see all the chaos unfold into that second to last circle, and we will be saying goodbye to Crypto. As you were mentioning to me, Jamerson, I believe this is the second time we've been seeing Crypto banned within Americas.
In Americas and EMEA. Surprisingly enough, I don't believe that he's been banned in EMEA, even though they started off this season, this split, pretty partial to picking up that crypto early on, but kind of fell away from it just a little bit. But yeah, this is the second time, and again, it is in the final match of the day where he ends up getting banned. So we're still kind of in uncharted territories where a lot of teams are still trying to figure out this meta, I believe, especially when it comes to game number 6. This is where there's just so much chaos when it comes to team compositions.
This is the chance right now. Liquid Alienware coming off the dub, have the momentum, and I feel like this is a very, when it comes to this team specifically, they're very mentally oriented in terms of how they feel with their confidence. And so once you get that dub going, even if it's a little late, you keep it rolling because there is that one last game that we have here on E District, and Team Liquid landing over on the north side of the map over by Electro Dam. Have to know where the zone is pulling because this zone is pulling over to Neon Square. If we didn't get a taste of the west side of E District in that last game, well, don't worry. You're going to get it here. It may not be pulling far over to that north side that we had seen. It's going to be pulling more so closer to directly by Neon Square.
Yeah, so they are definitely going to have to fight their way on in. There's so many chokes that teams will have priority to. 100 Thieves, we've been seeing them really utilize those power positions at the chokes to try and gatekeep teams and pick up kill points. So I think that might be one of the biggest threats that Team Liquid Alienware have to deal with. Also, we have a lot of our teams on the bottom side of the leaderboard that are looking to get aggressive in the early game here, that want to try and find these early fights. So for Team Liquid Alienware, I don't know if they want to just slow play things on in. There are a lot of scans for them to hit on the way, so I think that might be what they go for. Just slow play, scan as they move in, and just try to play for as late as possible. They're not too far off from the leaders of our lobby of Oran Gaming. I believe they're only down by 11 or 12 points. So if Oran Gaming go down early on, there's still a possibility for Team Liquid Alienware to even get first place today.
It's crazy to say that too, because again, it's that one last explosive game with how close the overall standings are for today's results after these last 5 games, that this could just flip it on any of these top 5, even top 6 teams if Rock goes crazy. Grow Gaming, their objective here as they're going to start side questing are going to be able to get that Evil Harvester, get back up to blue now, and Grow Gaming are already on the way to plan out their next mapping because it looks like they also were able to get a beacon scan.
Yeah, and this is another squad, like you had mentioned, the top 5. Currently, Grow Gaming in second place, only 3 points off from first. So barring, you know, just a disaster for them here, they should be fine. Keon has split up. There is, I believe, DGAP just ahead of them. I want to see what kind of intentions they have in this game. Do they want to get aggressive, or do they just want to take as few risks as possible? It looks like they're not going to take too many risks. BP, a team that needs to salvage the day, only 3 points. This is absolutely absurd. We were highlighting them at the top of both EMEA and Americas for the performance that they put on when it came to match day 2, but since then they have fallen off just quite a bit.
I was like, where the heck were they able to portal out of? And I just see like that one river down below by the vents, and they were actually able to get to safety. I mean, I don't blame them for portaling in because look how many teams have piled up here as Zap gets the beam with the R9 from down below before Shopify are looking to take this building. They're upset after the results of earlier today, and nobody is safe in their line of sight with the way that they just played that.
Yeah, this was probably one of the worst things that could happen for Shopify Rebellion, right? This is a squad that wants to fight on the edges. They have a composition that does excel at that. And they have, players that excel at that. And so having the ring pulled towards them, it isn't quite what they wanted, but they are able to at least spot out, hey, we're going to have a pretty decent fight here. No one's going to want to come in for the 3P. We can take this fight. We can get the early KP. So this is at least a decent bounce back for them. Again, we have to remember 0 points after 3 games. So picking up 22 in the last 2 maps is at least salvaging the day. They can still, end up somewhere in like 5th or 6th place at the very least. And, it's not the biggest victory for them if they do have a really good game here, but at the very least, they salvage the day.
Yeah, they could at least translate that into a much better outcome here on E District. They have a lot of homework to do over by Storm Point or in Esports. That was the biggest turnaround I've ever seen. Thales was like, all right, not in this direction. We're going to have to rotate here. There's already a team up on that north side, and it was the Seer Tactical that gave it away. A Seer trying to get that scan, and with the Mad Maggie drill, makes you wonder who's waiting on the other side. Oh. Could that be Rock maybe here? There's other teams still rocking the Mad Maggie and the Seer. NIP's another one too.
It's NIP behind them. Shopify Rebellion ahead of them. This is a difficult one. Thales, I don't think he's going to be able to survive this one. And this has huge implications for this game. We talked about the top 5 being so extremely close to Orin Esports, and if they go down without putting on any points, that's going to be a huge opportunity for second place and third place squads in 100 Thieves to be able to catch up and actually overtake them. So Grow Gaming and 100 Thieves are keeping a real close eye on that kill feed, waiting to see Orin pop up there, and they'll know that they have a huge opportunity to try and take the win today.
He gets away for now, and no pressure to Thales, but it's all on his shoulders to clutch this out because he's on the Wraith. At least he's got the tactical to get out of some trouble. But the only other team that is over on the south side that could hear this is KCP. So we're going to see if Orange are going to be able to get this recovery as DGAP, James, having to be careful as you can get shot right through this stairwell. We've seen it happen so many times. Is trying to survive. Oblivion the next to go down, and oh no, the crossfire here between the 30-30s and the G7 is just too much damage output for them.
Yeah, DGAP going down in 16th overall in the day. Getting a better look at the ring right now. You can see most teams spotting that, yeah, it is going to be going towards that western side. Hold on just a moment. CIMJ in the middle of the fight. They've got Dan Mantic on the other side of this one. Vlor's already gone. THUGGETS, who started the day off so strong, fall here in 11th place with 32 points. Unfortunately, weren't able to carry that momentum for the first game. Maybe they'll be able to be the inheritors of that. Right now, we've got a better look at the ring. Once again, 5 stars up there. Oblivion, who have been doing a great job of getting themselves into center zone. Unfortunately, we're not able to beat out the likes of Unreal Nightmare, Virtus.pro, Team Inferno to get deeper in. Shopify Rebellion, the ring just continues to close right on top of them. You got 100 Thieves stacked on top of NIP. Just a few stragglers. It doesn't seem like Orin have been able to get the res quite yet either. As Pioneers now rotating in from the southern side. So we actually have a lot of teams stacking now here on the south. Very strong teams. Shopify Rebellion, 100 Thieves, Pioneers all might come to blows in a couple of minutes.
Just for the sake of chaos, I want the zone just pull over to the east side. Because we have seen this. Just go to Neon directly right there. Just for the sake of it, because we have seen this zone before, I believe, and with the hard pull over to the west side, there is that slight gap that you would have to transcend, and it would be brutal for the teams that made the straight up call to be over by Neon. But Orin do it. They get the res. It took a little bit. Hopefully no one's around them because Rock Esports did take their time to rotate since they are on the complete opposite side of E District. So I'm assuming maybe they got to hear the res happen because Rock Esports will be the next opponents waiting for them in the edge of the zone.
They will have a survey beacon to scan over at Street Market, and it does look like that's where they're trying to head towards. And so they might be able to note that and then turn around for that fight. You do note that you've got Pioneers and CIMJ and a couple other teams playing still over on that Neon Square side. So maybe they opt for the rotation instead. Back over here in the center of the zone, though, 100 Thieves, again, just there's not much you can do. You ran into center zone and you've got 10 other teams around you right now. The early fighting has already taken place. VP, though, end up finding a knock and the kill onto Exotica of Team Inferno. But we're in that position where it's very hard to try and commit onto a fight after you get that knock. I think you're just happy to pick up the kill point for yourself. Or 100 Thieves again. Another one of those teams just within reaching distance of Orin, only trailing by 4 points.
That or just farming Evo Shield at this time too. At this point with E District having so many of these buildings, any of these teams that give up any space that was available, it could be GG right there because another team will want to be able to take up that building from right underneath them and then go for an opportunity to try to pinch the team that's out in the open. And then you have Unreal Nightmare who have taken control of the roof here. This works out great for the composition. A team rocking that Gibby with that Rampart too. Hopefully they can do just enough damage though to get that hop up working. You want that automatic charge rifle as you've seen it before in Monsoon's hands time and time again. But it will happen eventually here with more teams trying to hide in these buildings.
Yeah, the Select Spire is so much fun. It is so much fun with the charge rifle for now. DMG though, they got CIMJ just in the other building here, but you have to imagine they got probably the reinforced starter, were able to rebuild the doors for themselves. For DMG though, getting tagged by that Seer, but again, we're in that awkward position where enough teams are alive and the ring is small enough where you really can't follow up on anything. Getting a better look at the ring, and oh my god, Vicky, What did you do?
No way.
What did you do, Vicky? Who did you bribe for this?
I am the game. No, I can't. Shout out to the announcer host. That her voice is so crazy when we were able to hear her in person, one of the lands. But the zone has given everybody whiplash. Look at 100 Thieves, look at NIP, look at Shopify, look at Oblivion, by the way. These guys are zooming. I've never seen a team, by the way, rotate so fast. Orin are right there too. It seems as if this rotate actually ends up working out way better for Orin than they were expecting. Because remember, there were not a lot of teams waiting for them on that southeastern side of that next zone pool because everyone was banking on that western pool.
Yeah, and that's why that ring scan would have been so clutch. But Orin and Grow Gaming are in the center of this zone now, though. So again, it's going to come down to the wire. Who's going to come out on top? For our third place team, 100 Thieves, they have 4 teams to their back. They still have to walk in with this one. They've got NIP just below them. Another team, Pioneers, actually started to rotate over on that side. And now a huge turn of fortunes for Orin Gaming. Smack dab in the center of the next ring. This is absolutely absurd. I can't believe Orin were able to recover like this and also have this miraculous pull for them.
We take it from the Apex gods here. We don't question it. Stallions getting hit. Now, what sounded like a charge rifle should be forced to pop this shield back for right now, but they have to start moving because there's probably a team right there on the bridge. It is going to be Team Inferno, actually. And then wrapping around the other side of that one wall could be risky depending if there's other squads waiting for them inside the safety of the buildings of Neon Square.
Yeah, I think we have, it's going to be Oblivion and Team Liquid Alienware on this side of the wall, but they have plenty of coverage and no one really set up on this lane really to deal with that. So they get a free run past. Team Inferno aren't even looking this way. And so Oblivion might have been able to spot them out just in time. They're actually taking a lot of damage, forcing out that bubble as they pick up the scare package. I'm able to back away. They've got the raid portal set up by Blinkster here. And now the Kraber in the hands of Blinkster. They got Stallions and Team Inferno and Team Liquid Alienware here on the north side. We'll see what Blinkster can do with it. We've seen some great clips out of him with that gun in particular, but will he have the opportunity for it? Team Liquid Alienware actually worked their way deep within this next zone as 100 Thieves now. We'll note that zone pull on over. Rock Esports dealing with this rotate themselves. Team Liquid Alienware are forced back off this one, so Rock Esports at least hold on to the south side of the zone for now.
Interesting aggressive approach from Liquid Alienware right there. Maybe not expecting Rock to be as close as they were, but Rock have cleared the southern side, and with their long rotate, exactly how it worked out for Orin, it worked out for Rock too. Remember, they were the only other team that could have contested that respawn originally when it came to cutting off their rotate, and so they were the ones that were able to find that building over to that southeastern side first. Unreal Nightmare. Now with Huntsman still with Blue Evo, Davis, the big target that he is on the Gibraltar, is going to have to pop this shield bat. It's a Seer on the other side trying to get that scan with the tactical.
A lot of the path was cleared for Unreal Nightmare. They're moving in time, so at least not be under too much pressure on this rotate. But again, they don't always know where the threats are coming from. Orin were able to pick up a couple kill points, by the way, throughout all of this. Oblivion ended up going down. We've got Grow Gaming here. 100 Thieves still have to make the rotate on in. Again, it's gonna be a race to the finish between our top 3 teams right now. And again, it's not out of reach for our top 4, for our top 5. Things are getting a little bit difficult. Shopify Rebellion, find one knock onto Unreal Nightmare. There's the second one, and this is the team fighting I've been waiting for out of Shopify Rebellion, catching them on the rotate, and now they're moving their way on in.
Making everybody remember who they are, as 100 Thieves are the next to pick up even more KP. Fire Strays get eliminated, 5-star get eliminated, 13 squads left now, and this is going to be the deadly zone. The fact that this zone is also continuously shifting over to the west side of Neon Square, out in the open almost, with just those 4 little buildings that you could hold onto the roof. KCP are like the only team that are going to be coming out of that choke when they took their time to rotate through Street Market when they wanted to get that survey, can scan.
Yeah, Pioneers have basically been playing that choke the entire game, and so it's just been a slow burn for them overall. They haven't been able to find, too many kill points throughout all of this, but again, they want that plus 12. They want to recover the day. For Grow Gaming, I believe they've got Oran Esports just behind them, and yeah, taking a look at that map. Oran Esports are in the building to their east right now. They've got DMG and Rock fighting it out to their south, but they know that there are just too many threats coming here from the eastern side of the map that they can't even follow up on anything. CIMJ just port underneath them as well. Now things are looking a little bit more difficult for Oran Esports. I mean, this is a very similar situation to what we had coming out from CIMJ in the last game, where they were able to get into the center of the zone. They were able to basically fortify a position in the middle of the zone with someone else on top of them, making life hell for anyone rotating in from the other side. DMG now eliminated. This brings us down to 12 squads remaining as round 5, ring 5 is about to close.
Round 5 closing in the next 4 seconds. Keep your eyes on how many squads are left, because that's about to drop by basically half here, with Oran now still inside this building and Liquid Alienware trying to prio their rotate. They hear the team inside this building. Do they want to go for some poke pressure, or do they want to prio being inside that next zone? But again, there is little to no cover if you're not one of the teams that have already found that real estate already, as Puka with the R9 tries to get the one clip, but Hogwadis was there with the PK first. Just enough damage, and unfortunately, that EVA 8, even with that gold bolt, isn't going to be able to have the impact that a PK can have in a late game situation.
Oran Esports might be able to get the res here. You can see a lot of utility coming down just to cover this res, and it will be enough. The armor swap is there as well to keep them up. Keepstar knows that they need to maximize everything here as Team Liquid Alienware ultimately goes down. CIMJ picking up a lot of those. 100 Thieves on the rotate in, end up going down. No, Jen Burton is still alive for right now. Shopify Rebellion picking up a lot of kills here, playing Gatekeeper. We'll see if they can get a little bit more, but the threat of Stallions isn't allowing them to push quite yet. Jen Burton trying to outlast, but you can see Grow on the other side of this one. Shopify Rebellion, because of the wall, do not have an angle on him quite yet. Team Inferno will fall next. Oran Esports out of the fire, but not, out of the frying pan, but not out of the fire quite yet, as Puka survives with just about 2 HP. The knockdown shields, the riot drills, the nades coming in. Puka gets the bat off just in time, but Oran Esports are about to go down. There it is. Oran Esports gone. Huge opportunity now for 100 Thieves. Huge opportunity for Grow. This might be their moment.
Let's see if they can try to contend on this with Shopify getting eliminated. 7 squads left, and Jen Burden's in trouble with the Maggie Riot drill. He's got shield swaps for days, shield cells, no big meds though, and that's the question mark here. Round 6 is closing in, and there's obviously a team that has him in their line of sights, but they can't overextend or give up the space because Grow are right around the corner, as well as CIMJ.
Yeah, CIMJ have taken that high ground though. Kind of swap position, wall out from Jen Burden, but Keon was just watching it in time. Jen gets cracked, but CIMJ might be making their move. Grow needs to respond to this in time. We've got another team showing up, trying to pick up this last kill. 100 Thieves will go down in 3rd place.
He cannot clutch it out. 100 Thieves. I mean, it was very difficult with Stallions being able to retaliate and reset themselves after getting the res onto Alberlily, by the way. 6 squads left. Grow Gaming now down to a duo. Can they be able to do this here as they take the 1st place spot? As we see them, they were so close there. 5 squads left. They need to hold this advantage though with 57 points.
Stallions try to charge forward, utilizing that riot drill to force them back at the very least, but Keon's got that Sheila out, and you do have to be careful. CIMJ finding another kill onto KCP, looking for a little bit more. Grow Gaming have already done the job. No one else really here left to try and overtake them. Grow, though, still want to pick up as much KP as possible. Pioneers will ultimately go down. It's 4 squads left, and it's Stallions with the solo, CIMJ with the solo, Grow only now down as a solo. It's all up to Rock to finish things off.
Rock, but CIMJ, by the way, they're pretty close. They have 53 points total now, and they've been able to get some KP, but can they clutch it with now losing out on their Gibby? 2 members left before Rock try to slide in. Our last 2 squads, they were popping up before, but can they hold it as Rock are just looking to breeze through this dub for our final game of the day here in Americas?
And oh my God, that had huge implications. I'm waiting to see the final leaderboard, but Rock might have been able to climb up exponentially there. Don't know if they did enough to possibly take the win. They might have gotten 2nd. this is close. This is extremely close.
It's the fact that we had Orin Esports literally as #1, and they go down, what, between 9th or 8th or so, and with how close it was with between our other squads, with the amount of KP there was at the very end there, it completely dismantled what we were expecting here, Jamerson. As we bring back Rain Day to look at what we just witnessed after these last few games, Rain Day, and it was still very close, but Rock got the dub at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love the 3 teams in contention, and I got to give a shout out again to Grow Gaming, like we'd been talking about. They played very well. I thought Stallions, while they were sieging inside a building, just had the man and the health advantage. It was a 2 versus 3. But Grow took what they had done really well earlier on when I was casting with you guys in games 4 and 2, and they expanded on it, getting into a good building, making good decisions, being held down by that anchor play, you know, from Keon, who I flashed a look at his damage stats. I think it was about 1,500 in that last game alone. So just really, really performing at a high level individually, and that's leading to some really good results as a team. 11 points, even though they got 4th place. Stallions underneath that with a 3rd. But now we get to the meat of it. Rock and Esports and CIMJ, 2nd and 3rd place. Now, CIMJ had been ahead of them by 4 to 6 points. Rock Esports won the final fight, which when you count it up is 3 kills and and then 3 points. So it's a 6-point switch, and it's enough to put Rock Esports ahead of CIMJ on the day, but not enough to beat Grow Gaming in this final series. So an incredible match day for those 3 teams. And as you see it, there it is. Grow Gaming, 2nd place overall now. KCP in the lead, SR, Your Nightmare, and then ZZ right behind him in 5th. Oblivion, Falcons, NIP, 100 Thieves, and Rock rounding out our top 10. Vicky, Grow Gaming with the win today.
Hey, Grow Gaming, they were trailing right behind Orin for a good amount of time, and it wasn't until the very end there when everything was exposed on E-District. Those are some pretty interesting zone pools there, maybe some sorcery at work, but it really helps them out here in the long run to be able to get the KP that they needed, which in that last game, I believe it was like 6 KP, but they also were able to capitalize it with the placement points too.
Yeah, Jamerson, it feels like, again, everything was very much up in the air, up for grabs, but Grow Gaming did it. It was a team we highlighted earlier on, that experience from this squad. Have they meshed well enough to you after watching 6 games, or is this still something that you feel needs to be a little more proven?
No, I think for a lot of Americas, for a lot of our rosters, the ceiling is extremely high, and very few of them have even gotten close to reaching it. The problem is that because the ceiling is so high, the variance is also very high, and we've been seeing that. But I think all the foundations are there. This is another one of those squads. We have maybe 4 or 5 squads in Americas alone, which have, I think, you know, world championship caliber squads right now. They just haven't been able to get it all to click consistently, and that does a lot of it does come down to kind of how this meta has worked out. I think particularly today with Stormpoint being that weird wild card in the map draw that made things a lot more difficult for our squads. We haven't seen that since day number 1. Might have been, I think, one of the huge difference makers when it came to everyone's overall performance.
Speaking of that, we know Grow Gaming came out on top, and shortly thereafter, we saw Rock and CIMJ. However, there were some individuals who stood out above the rest. That's why we need to go to our Sony in-zone kill leader leaderboard, and it is none other than Sir Noct. We saw him with that 8-kill game, I believe, in game 4, and my goodness, he did not slow down. Backslon right afterwards. Big shout out for Rock as well and the way that they've played. But Vicky, talk to me a little bit about Noct. Is this his season?
I mean, I can see it. The way that this works with the Legend Bands and him being able to play a lot more aggressively. Look at this. Like, you could tell he's on controller too, not, you know, being able to still hold the helms the way that he's been able to play alongside Keon here and dropped. And I think together this team has slotted in very nicely. This is a team also that has no issues starting things off quietly, but it's silent but deadly with the way that they play right here. Noct knows the situation, understands where he needs to reposition. There were so many different times where you could tell with communication, hey, I left these guys one, I'm gonna back away so I don't get knocked. I'm gonna distract them, reposition, you guys do the rest, and we get to win here. That was a pretty big game, and look at that big smile on your team.
That's what I'm saying.
19 total KP, man.
I'm saying something happened the last time we took pictures with Noct, because now he is grinning ear to ear I never thought of the Optic guys like that. Him and Dropped and Skittle, I mean, you know, they kind of kept it serious. Now I see this light, you know, you see the color. I love it, man. It's a lot of fun. Jamerson, obviously, Noct, been very, very effective here in this call. But when you do talk about Optic and that org, you know, being a part of Apex for a very good amount of time and obviously have left for now, we don't know if they'll ever come back. Grow Gaming taking the spot. Keon fitting in kind of like a key to those two players that have had a lot of time with each other. That says something a lot about those two players and what fitting the right piece into what they're doing can bring to a lobby. It can put them in a first place position, but it also says a lot about Keon being able to, having, you know, gone for so long on that Furia roster with Madness and transition so quickly into a match day win with these guys. I'm really impressed with this squad.
Definitely agree too, Rain. I just want to add, I mean, it's part of the name, right? Grow Gaming, and they're literally growing together here, individually and even as a team.
Yeah, they're
growing. They pay the big bucks. Oh, God, you're crazy, man. You're crazy. Well, you know, they did show us a lot as well in this last one, and I do believe that this is a great showcase of their efforts. Grow Gaming here doing a great job of, you know, putting their talents on display. Now, we are working on an interview here, and I think this would be great to get Keon on the mic. And it seems like we do have him. He's ready to go. So without further ado, I think we'll get some camera for this one as well. I know Keon's got his cam set up. What's up, man? Congratulations on the win.
What's up? Thank you. Thank you.
You know, we were making a couple of, jokes back here, but I love the synergy of how you guys have played. And at the top of the show, I recognize that you guys have, when you really compare your team's experience, you know, LAN wins, LAN, appearances, money, prizing, earned. You guys are probably a trio that can go toe-to-toe with most trios in the ALGS. But, you know, you've had such a different journey from Optics and in your own way in Furia. Coming together, how has it felt? How have you guys, you know, you particularly found the challenge and the success of melding with Noct and Dropped? Has it been easy, or has it been something that has been different, obviously, because you guys have both had very adjacent paths, but they haven't been the same here in our pro league?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if like building a team is ever super easy. Like, it's never going to just be perfect, but like it's as good as it can get. I think all three of us are extremely like mature. It's probably it's the best team I've ever been on in terms of like work ethic and also just maturity, being able to like discuss when someone makes a mistake and call each other out without being like, you know, defensive and just being accountable. So for that case, like as a team, it's the best team I've been on in Apex yet. So I've been blessed with that. Yeah, I don't know if that answered the question.
Preach, man. I just love what you just said right there. Like, I'm a big advocate for that. Drop the ego and, you know, be willing to grow, because that's how you're able to break through any ceiling that you have. I really like the team that you guys have together right now. It feels like the vibes are high. You guys are, you know, taking this super serious, obviously. But aside from that, also pretty laid back. I want to ask, without revealing too much, Stormpoint wasn't really working out for you guys in the way that it intended. E-District, obviously, you know, a lot better. Was that because of the zone pools that you guys were dealing with?
Yeah, so Stormpoint was just the game one. We should have had another 10 points. That was just like one of those games where we left points on the game or on the board. That should have, game one should have just carried our Stormpoint pretty much. Game 2 and 3, those are just hard zones for the comps that we were playing. Majority of the teams that did well in both those zones had Gibby because it's open space, and we were not playing Gibby, so we got kind of punished on the hard zone pulls out into the open. So not really much you could do. We got 11 points both those games, or like total between those two games. So we're kind of happy with that going into it. And we knew that we left points on game one. So we were just like, let's just lock it in for the second half.
Yeah, I want to know also kind of like your feel for the meta in terms of roles. Like, what do you think is the most important role currently in this meta? Because I feel like it might be the anchor player right now that might have one of the more difficult roles currently. What is your feeling on that?
I don't know. I think it just kind of depends on like your team. Sometimes like you're not even your anchor players are necessarily anchoring, you know, like sometimes you're on like SR, for example, Like those guys will be playing like Rampart, and they'll all just be running around, but it just happens to work out because they'll like one guy will look at the back at the right timing. But I mean, it is very important, like you said, to have an anchor player that's always watching your back, watching your threats. That's like one thing I pride myself on, and one thing that my coach drills into my head. JMO, shout out JMO. He makes sure that anytime we get to a spot, he doesn't let me have fun. He makes me watch our back so that they can have fun and do their thing, and I can make sure that we don't die.
Well, I think in Apex in general, having someone who makes sure you don't die is a lot more fun than, you know, you all just dying. I think we can all agree on that. I mean, we played many games ourselves of this great battle royale. Hey, Keon, congratulations, man. You guys look great. I think for good reason. You've put the rest of the league on notice, and I think in many ways the world, you're a team to contend with. Your experience is on par with pretty much anybody else who's going to be vying for it in Sapporo. So we hope you continue to show us what you guys got, and have a great rest of your split.
Sweet. Thank you guys. Seriously.
All right. Congratulations again to Keon on his win with Optic, or I keep saying that, but where they came from, dropped and knocked, and the Grow Gaming knocked and dropped. And it's time for us to kind of start to close out the show, guys. I mean, it's been, 6 games of EMEA. It's been 6 games now of North America. We've got another 12 games tomorrow. But Vicky, this is going to be the one where we say goodbye to you. So walk me through just, your thoughts over 2 great series today, and what that has shown you as our Embrace the Change theme comes to an end.
Yeah, I feel like it's really stuck to the theme. Even though Hodic said not much has changed, minus maybe less 30-30s, I think incorporating Stormpoint first within our map rotation, since we haven't seen it since the first match day, opened things up for the teams that could display the flexibility and the opportunity to play on Gibby. Kind of what Keon was saying too, right? Like lost out on some opportunities because they didn't play into that composition that everybody else had leaned on for Stormpoint specifically. But because there's been some time, that means that there was a window of growth and opportunity to figure out those compositions in advance to just at least play into your strength. And I feel like that's what it's going to expose a lot more pros going forward. Even with this mid-season patch, people may be wondering, where is Seer? We thought he was super strong. I see him all over my ranked games. Well, it's a very different case here when it comes to comp Apex, because as you saw in a zone like that here on E-District, everybody is waiting. No one's trying to int each other, and it's all a patient play. Sometimes the Sparrow comes out in clutch with those remote scans, and these are all just little things that paint the bigger picture in high-level ALGS play.
So great recap, Vicky, and great job today. Jamerson, your turn. I'm going to toss it to you. What's the takeaway after Embrace the Change comes to an end?
Honestly, we got to see some teams that didn't have to change as much, especially in EMEA, right? They had great, Go Next had a great job basically playing the game that they wanted to. But here in NA, in Americas, we are seeing that it's hard to embrace the change when there are so many changes. Even one of the teams that I highlighted myself, Shopify Rebellion, not playing their old compositions. There, I think, some teams might be getting into their own heads to try to get ahead of the meta instead of utilizing what's already worked. And for a lot of the teams, they were able to note that, yeah, the Gibraltar play on Stormpoint, we're able to convert that into extremely strong wins. Right now, we're not seeing wholesale changes into this year. I think we've had that 2-week break essentially since the last match day to really figure that out just a little bit more. And teams realize, hey, we don't have to go for that wholesale swap on to the Seer, but we do still see it at the end of the day, which is why, again, I love that we have this legend band system so that we can have more flexibility in terms of composition at the end of the day. Overall, I love the overall strength that we have in America. So many different teams showing up right now. It's hard to say which is the best team in Americas, and it's going to come down basically to the wire, our final match day, to see who is the best in Americas.
I can't wait. And you guys have been great. We can't wait to hear more of your voices here. And of course, on the journey to Sapporo, we appreciate everything you guys have done. We will talk to you very soon. But for now, we will say goodbye to Vicky and Jamerson. For me, closing things out a little bit, I just got to say one of the interesting points for me was looking at change from a bigger perspective, a macro idea around the ALGS and how pro teams decide to be a part of a team or to separate as a part of a team. It's the reason we brought this theme up anyways, from roster swaps and from roster changes that feel normal and expected to pretty volatile and unexpected. Is there a middle line that we haven't found yet when it comes to teams having difficult moments, but then also deciding that on the other side of that difficult moment is something we haven't seen yet, something a lot of teams have given up, which is starting fresh and seeing if on the other side of the pastures, the grass is greener, but realizing maybe that it's not greener and we just have to work through it, whether it's with these two players or another two players I choose. I find that a very potent topic in life and society, and especially in the ALGS right now. So without making too big statements, I think that to me was the highlight of today, alongside some incredible play and a great look at the first meta. But of course, I get to see you guys tomorrow for match day 7. That's right. We got match day 7 coming up. So we'll get to talk more about that, hear Mark and Dan's thoughts. That's right. Onset and Gaskin will be joining me, and that will be a fun one. We'll start off as we did, 10 a.m. Pacific time, where we will get the action rolling with EMEA, and then we'll transition after about an hour or two of a break to the Americas. And pay attention, because that's when we get the drama. Zero and Hal, for the first time after splitting up, go toe-to-toe as IGLs against each other in the same lobby. It's going to be fun. Remember, if you want to keep up to date with all of our information around the ALGS, make sure to follow us on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, and of course on YouTube at Play Apex Esports. If you're watching on Twitch, well, you're at twitch.tv/PlayApex right now. That's been Jamerson, Vicky, Kitty. I've been Rainday. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. You, our chat, are amazing fans. EA Respawn, Esports Engine behind the scenes. And as always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming. And we will see you all for match day 7.